Hello and welcome back to
Okay.
the Funfiltered podcast. The three of us are back together,
Sort of.
albeit this is via Skype, unfortunately.
Yeah.
To clarify, that is Sam
Yes, hello.
and Jordan.
Hello. Yeah, Wales has been thrust back into a lockdown, hasn't it?
A couple of weeks of stinkers, lost episodes, and inability to meet, and then a lockdown.
Yes.
We try. Doesn't always work out.
I know, but Skype again, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are we going to talk about on today's episode then, gentlemen? This is something new that we're going to adopt.
Yes.
There's no point trying to do it organically. Let's just show them the seams. It's something we're going to do from now on. We're going to tell you. We're going to tell you.
We're going to try. We're certainly going to try and do from now on.
So, coming up on this episode, Eddie, tell us.
We have me. I've got a brief discussion on Hubie Halloween.
Look forward to that.
The new Adam Sandler shit.
Yeah.
We've got Borat's sequel, the subsequent movie film, and whatever final iteration they went with in this for an extended title. The Trial of the Chicago 7, The Haunting of Hill House, and The Haunting of Bly Manor.
So, all that to look forward to.
I don't know where we're kicking off with. Are we kicking off with you, Jord?
Well, actually, Jord, you have a new cat, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't know we were going to bring it up.
Yeah, we're going to bring it up because it's
okay.
This is ostensibly our Halloween episode, isn't it?
Yes. So you're bringing up like your worst fear.
Well,
I am now housing your worst fear in.
Well,
my
I was
house.
going to bring it up anyway because, well, you've just got a cat. But
I should clarify, it's my sister's cat, but because I'm still living in the family home, the cat is here.
Yes.
So
why have you got a cat?
I don't have a cat. My sister has a cat.
Oh, why has your sister got a cat?
Because she wanted a cat. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know actually if we mentioned this on the last Halloween episode, but I've sort of grown up in a very neutral house. So, like, for example, my mother is Catholic, but my father is atheist. So I was kind of brought up in a house where religion wasn't really discussed or brought up at all. And it was sort of similar thing with pets. My dad is very much a dog person. My mum is very much a cat person. And so as a result, I didn't grow up with a cat or a dog.
This explains so much.
How does it explain so much?
I finally understand why you're neutral about so many subjects. Right. It's kind of a blessing in disguise in a way. I mean, it's funny because I think some children who grow up in, not divisive, but polar households like that, they end up mongrelized. So they kind of extract elements of both and go, I'm going to form my own identity from the two, sources. But you've just like, oh, if this is one and this is t'other, I'll just be nothing.
So my sister has wanted a cat for a very long time, but my mother keeps saying to her, she's like, look, your father would never, he doesn't like cats. His mother is of the impression that cats are like filthy animals.
She's correct.
Not filthy in the, oh, they're scum, be gone with them. Like, they're genuinely, like, they carry disease.
They're dirty,
they're dirty.
That is exactly what the cat thinks about you as well.
Yep.
But yeah, so Mum has been saying for years, like, he'll never say yes. He'll never say yes. And I think one day she just gave up and she was like, look, if you want, just ask your father, thinking that he would say no. And we were all sitting around the breakfast table and Darren just went, out of the blue, she just went, Dad, can I have a cat? And he just went, yeah, all right. Just like gave it immediately.
Completely folded.
Yeah.
I guarantee that's because, it'll be because for years, your mother's been going, she's going to ask you for a fucking cat. And so she's worn him down over the years. So that when she's finally asked, he's gone, fine.
I mean, she was as shocked as we were, but yeah, who's to say that wasn't all a front, because she has been wearing him down for years. I mean, now the cat is here. He seems to rather like the cat.
Right. Do you like the cat?
I don't mind the cat, yeah. The cat is, well, it's a kitten at the moment. It's like 10 weeks old. It's nothing, basically. It's like, you pick it up and it's like you're not even holding anything.
Right.
It's this tiny animal.
So if you were going to snap its neck, now would be the time.
I suppose.
Well, another reason I bring it up is because
I wasn't really planning on doing such a thing, but no, why not?
But
why not?
The other reason I bring it up was because, yes, I realised that on our last Halloween podcast, I think we talked about cats and my relationship with cats.
Yes.
So it felt appropriate to read.
Circularity.
Yeah, circularity. The illusion of structure.
Yes.
So I have a few questions. Well, here's my anxiety about it, right? Is that I think that because your sister's on her gap year, isn't she?
Yes.
She's going to go off to university in a year's time, maybe. And she's not going to be able to take the cat with her. And so the cat's going to be the house's cat.
Yes.
And when your parents are in work, it's going to become your cat.
Right.
So what's actually happened is you've just got yourself a cat.
Yeah, well, yeah, that has been the subject of conversation. It was like before the cat was got. It's like, you're probably going to be moving out in a year's time, and it was always met with like silence or the swift changing of the subject.
Right. Does that mean that she doesn't intend on moving out, or does that mean that she knows it's going to become a problem?
I think it's more that she knows it's going to become a problem. Because she is definitely planning on going to university. We just don't know to which one yet, or to do what. That's kind of the purpose of the gap year. But yeah, it's it's a kitten. It's fairly well behaved compared to what I was expecting. I don't know how well behaved kittens typically are.
Right.
But it's very quiet. I thought it would be like noisy, but it's not. It's a Maine Coon, I should say. I don't know if you're familiar with Maine Coons, either of you.
Nope.
All I know is that it resembles a lion somewhat.
Yes, it's basically the biggest of the cats. Like this thing is going to grow into like a behemoth, basically. They're huge animals, Maine Coons, when they're fully grown. But she's a female. I think the females are smaller than the males. So it's like not as bad as it could be, but she's still going to be the biggest possible house cat.
So what I'm taking from this is that if we all end up living together in about a year's time, George's going to bring a cat with him. And we're going to have a cat.
Oh no, I know that this cat is going to somehow negatively affect my life. Right. I just don't know precisely how yet. Because I've got this dark feeling that, Jordan, you are going to become its guardian, and you're going to have to ferry it to the vets and buy it cat food and do all the cat things that you're supposed to do.
Right. And he's going to ask you to come along.
Oh, well, I shan't. But only out of pragmatism. It's like, well, George, you're around, so like you can do all this stuff for the cat. And you're going to become that cat's... it's Ben Whishaw, for lack of a better...
Oh, you think Fargo?
In the
Series 4 Fargo.
Yeah.
I can see, okay. Now remember, cat.
Yes.
If I don't come back, I'm dead or in jail.
Yes, exactly.
It means nothing to the cat, and it's not even a true statement, but it's still like, I'll be dead or in jail if I don't come back.
So what is the name of this beast?
Marley is her name.
Marley?
Yeah.
A famous dog?
Is it?
Marley and Me.
That is shambolic, George, that took you long enough to realise.
Well, I didn't name the cat.
No.
I should point this out.
It's your cat. Why have you not named it? Stop telling us it's your sister's cat.
You should have planted a flag then and said, it's going to become my cat, so I should have some say in naming it. Right. What, is it because it's a Maine Coon, so there's like an alliterative thing happening? Was that the idea?
Well, Marley the Maine Coon.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think it was a name that was...
Was that a dig at Bob Marley? Had to be said.
Oh dear.
No, I think it was a name that they were just looking for names, and I think somebody suggested the name Marley.
Yes.
And that's sort of stuck. It was between Marley and Nova, but they ended up going with Marley.
Nova's good, because when you first told me that your family were considering getting a cat, and the names that were being considered were famous names of animals that weren't cats, right?
Yes.
Like Koba was a possibility?
Yeah, Koba. So it was like characters from Planet of the Apes and characters from the Jungle Book. That's where they were sort of looking to get their names. So like Bagheera and
That's fair
Caesar
enough.
and like all that kind of stuff.
But now they've chosen a dog. A dog's name instead of a cat. Marley. I don't know. Marley I associate with lugubriousness and lethargy.
Okay.
Like Marley is like... It's a name that connotes inactivity to me.
Well, she sleeps a lot.
At the moment, yeah.
She's a cat, of course. She sleeps a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but
going to sleep a lot.
Cats are sedentary, yes. But they're not as sedentary as most other pets.
I'd say they're more sedentary than dogs. Dogs
maybe than dogs, yes.
Rather not sedentary.
No, but all dogs stay within... They're frantic within an enclosed environment, aren't they?
Yeah.
Whereas, the Maine Coons, do they street walk?
No, they're house cats.
Oh, God.
So she is not going anywhere.
Right.
Sam, we're going to have a cat in a year. We're going to have a cat.
I don't think so. My mum is very taken with the cat. I don't think that she'll want to see the cat go.
Okay,
So
well, that's good. That's good.
Don't worry. It's all fine.
Okay.
You never have to meet her if you don't want to.
I do like that in the space of a sentence, George, you have basically said that your mother is attached to the cat, that she's fine for you to go, but she does not want the cat going anywhere.
George, would you be upset? I'm spotlighting it on you in particular.
Okay.
Would you be upset if you killed that cat with your car?
Yeah, I would.
You would? Why?
Oh, he's become attached already.
Okay. Regardless of my relationship to the animal, it's my sister's cat.
No, okay. Okay, yeah, fine.
So if I kill, like, it would greatly upset my sister and my family.
Ignoring that, ignoring that
point out, my uncle killed my family cat.
On purpose, or?
He ran it over by accident.
Well, considering that you've never brought him up, Eddie, I assume that you've disowned him from the family.
No,
okay,
he's
yes.
a bit of a weirdo, but, you know,
sad for your family, yes, of course. But would the death of the cat in and of itself be a source of grief?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, well, you've already lost.
At the moment, like I should say, she's been here less than a week, so her presence is still somewhat of a novelty.
Festering.
Well, I'm going with novelty over festering.
I mean, so you're saying she's been there less than a week, and somehow she's already made it onto the podcast.
Well, it's new.
Hey,
isn't it?
I didn't bring her up.
It is a novelty.
Sam brought her
It's a novelty.
Yes, it's a novelty.
But a kitten is just a condescension waiting to happen.
Well, there's a picture of the...
Okay. Oh, Jesus.
Okay. For the people listening...
Are his eyes closed?
Yeah, it's sleeping there.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not being racist, doing like a Chinese impression or something. If that's what you were going for.
I wasn't going for that. I just couldn't see its eyes. So I was like, what the hell is that cat? Yeah, go on, Eddie. Describe the cat to the listeners.
It's a thing. It's brownish.
I guess Google Maine Coons, they all kind of look the same, don't they?
Yeah, well, it's sort of, it looks like a Maine Coon cat, but it's sort of black and orange. It's got it's black fur with like orange kind of patches like draped over it, because its mother was an orange cat and its father was Vlad, his name is.
Vlad,
because he was imported from Russia.
Okay, rather than trying to make it
purposes.
Vlad the imported.
Yeah, Vlad the imported.
Rather than trying to make it sound cool, everyone just go and Google Rory the Tiger and then take the colours from that instead.
Well, the reason I brought it up in general was because I wanted to see a picture.
Okay.
So that whenever you talk about it, I have a vision of hate.
Something to bring focus to mind. Your hatred on. Yeah.
Okay, so I know what it... Okay, so it's called Marley.
Yeah.
And it looks like that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I won't be coming around your house anymore then.
Well, it's got its own playpen, so I guess we could lock it in there if you want.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
You're still going to find cat hairs on you, though.
There's going to be that, yeah.
Well, like I said, it hasn't been here a week yet, but we haven't had any problems in that regard yet. It's disappeared behind a couple of bookcases, but other than that, it's...
What if they were to accidentally just fall?
Fall behind the bookcase. And then a large pile of books were to accidentally fall on the cat.
Yes. Leather bound.
Yes.
Massive tomes.
Yeah.
What?
And then a foot to repeatedly, accidentally fall onto the cat multiple times.
What is the mobility of this kitten?
Well, it moves. Yeah, we got a scratching post that's about, I don't know, like 3 foot, something like that. It's reached the point now where it can just like jump straight to the top of it.
See.
No?
See. Well, has it been in your room yet?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No. I have too many shelving units with stuff that can be pushed off for me to ever let it in my room.
Okay, so it will never breach that territory.
No. I mean, at the moment, we're sort of confining it to the front room and the kitchen. It's not really allowed to go anywhere. It sleeps in my sister's room.
Right.
My sister's got like she sleeps in a normal bed, but she's got like a mattress underneath that you can pull out, so there's sort of like 2 beds. The cat sleeps on the second mattress.
Right, okay.
By choice, it chose to do that. It wasn't like, go sleep on the mattress.
Right.
She just woke up one day and it was sleeping on the mattress, and now that's where it sleeps.
So it's already achieved trying to basically human status in your house. It's got a proper bed. It gets to sit in the living room and the kitchen and do fuck all day.
Well, do you have a closed door policy in your room, Jord?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so it's not just going to wander in then?
It shouldn't do, unless it learns how to open doors.
It will.
It will.
It will.
We've got doorknobs that you have to turn, so it might not get much grip, but it'll certainly be big enough where it won't even have to like stand up. It could probably just like grab the door handle
Right.
without even getting off all fours.
Are they like chrome or brass knobs?
Just like metal.
Yeah, metal. Okay, so something that requires skin to grip for torque.
Yes.
Okay, so a cat wouldn't be able to. It would just slide off.
I would hope not.
No. Okay.
Then again, like I said, by the time it's fully grown, it probably just push the door over.
But exactly. By the time it's fully grown, by brute force, he'll just break the door down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. I can't wait for the day Jordan goes out the house, comes back. There's just like a screwdriver next to the door. All the things have been taken off, and the door's just on the floor. And the cat's just like, no.
The cat's just laying on the bed, like with its legs crossed. It's stroking like a mouse. It's like, hello. So this is what you've been keeping from me.
That's when you employ the screwdriver for the purposes of penetrating the cat's head.
Oh, right, okay. Not penetrating. I was worried you were just going to finish it penetrating the cat.
No.
Oh dear.
No. Well, I suppose anywhere would work, really.
If you find the cat on your bed, now is the time that you penetrate the cat.
It's a she or a he?
She.
She, okay. Okay.
She.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, at the moment, she's like, she's sort of keeping her distance. I know that's something that's not going to last. Because that's the thing. I think Maine Coons live for about like 15, 18 years, maybe.
She's seen the news.
She's seen the news.
Yeah, that's why she's distancing.
Ah, right. Okay.
Okay. For the thumbnail, can you Photoshop an image of a face mask onto your cat and put it on the thumbnail?
Yeah, it's got to be that now, isn't it?
I'll give it a go, Eddie. I will certainly give it a go.
Like, that's enough to make it the Halloween special. You don't need any other image, just that.
Yeah, just a cat
Most
face
horrifying
mask.
thing in the world. Anyway, okay. Do you have anything else, George? Any other news?
I do have one other thing.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of articles popping up online regarding the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I don't know if either of you have seen this.
No.
It's basically proclaiming that Sonic the Hedgehog has toppled Marvel's dominance of the film industry.
Okay.
Because the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is the first superhero movie
Right.
in 10 years at the top of the box office that isn't a Marvel film. Therefore, Sonic the Hedgehog has toppled Marvel.
No.
No, of course it fucking hasn't.
You've got to do some work to convince me that it's a superhero movie.
Well, yeah, I know. Like, I think Sonic, if anything, I won't speak for the film, but I think the Sonic the Hedgehog games are very anime influenced. Well, they are very anime influenced. I think Shogun anime is the genre that sort of inspired Sonic, like the same genre that gave us like Dragon Ball Z and stuff.
Yeah.
I think the film, I think it's kind of superhero-y.
I mean,
Like
kind
Eggman
of.
is, like Robotnik is the villain and Sonic has superpowers
sure,
and you've got the human sidekick and all that.
Yes, but it doesn't have that quality of a... I don't mean by, like, it's good. It doesn't have the quality of a superhero film. Other than those tropes, which you could say, mad scientist,
Yeah.
Superpowered hero. But if you're going to argue that, I don't know, it feels like the definition is too broad. I mean, you could say then... I would say, if anything has toppled the monopoly of Marvel in the superhero genre, it's the Fast and the Furious movies.
Right.
They're superhero films. They're just in cars.
Yeah.
But they are superhero films. Like,
No, yeah, genuinely.
over the top ridiculous,
Have you seen any of the Fast and Furious, Eddie? The later ones, where it became sort of what it is now,
I stopped at 7.
Oh, right. I liked 8. I mean, 8 and 3 are the only ones I've seen properly, but I've seen bits and pieces of all the other ones.
Which one's Tokyo Drift? Is that
the third
2
one?
or 3?
Third one.
That's 3.
Yeah,
that's 3. That wasn't bad.
I think that's universally considered to be the worst one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. But do you know why I like it? Because
Why?
none of the main pit cast are in it, other than Vin Diesel for about
Like a cameo,
5 minutes.
Right, okay.
So that's why it's good.
Yeah,
7 has the emotional. That's the one they thought was going to win the Oscars and everything. Because
Did the song win?
I think so.
I can't. Probably.
Did it? What year was it?
2015, I think.
Oh, it was Spectre.
Was it 2015?
Did it? A
Writings on
song
the Wall.
like "See You Again."
No, I know Spectre came out, but I
Yeah.
can't remember if it was 2015 that Furious 7.
I'll just look it up, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
do that.
got Google set up on my iPad, so it's not on the laptop for once.
Oh, right, okay.
There's also like the Mission Impossible films. They're basically superhero films as well.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I know what they're getting at, but I think it's a bit disingenuous because if you're going to say he's a superhero, then you have to include all these other things as well. I remember Kevin Smith saying in an interview that the last original superhero he saw was Neo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah,
I remember that interview.
I see your point.
It wasn't even up for an Oscar.
Wasn't it?
No, it was up for a Golden Globe.
Oh right.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it was up for the Oscar.
And Grammy. It's funny because it is one of the most viewed YouTube videos of all time.
Yeah, and it's exactly the type of song that I think would get a nomination.
Yeah, but no, apparently not.
All right.
Okay.
Was it 2015?
But yeah.
Oh, I've closed it down.
No,
I'm not
doesn't
opening it.
matter.
But yeah, so people are heaping even more praise, unwarranted praise, on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and I just wanted to bring it up so that I could tell people, stop it.
Yeah.
This film doesn't deserve the praise that it's getting.
I feel like that's not even if it was praise with which you agreed, it's not praise that the film itself really deserves.
No, exactly. That's the other thing. This film is like the luckiest film ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
Because this film, when it was like first advertised, we had the initial backlash to that first trailer where everyone was saying this is going to be a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
Then the second trailer came out and everyone was like, oh, actually, it looks a lot better now and it seems funnier and maybe it'll be good. And then obviously the film came out and it got, I think broadly speaking, the reaction was slightly above average.
Like mediocre, yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of what most people were like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah.
Like the Mark Commode review is 6 minutes long and 4 minutes they're not even talking about the Sonic movie.
No.
His review is basically in the last 2 minutes he's like, yeah, it's fine.
I've given up on Kermode as a sidebar.
Oh, have you?
He's too political. He's become too political. I understand why he probably feels he has to in the era of Donald Trump, but it's everywhere now. His Twitter is just political. His reviews are increasingly political.
Right.
And when we talk about the trial of the Chicago 7, I think you're going to find not much of that with us. It's like it is possible to talk about films without talking about their political implications necessarily.
Right,
You know what I mean? Not everything has to be... If it's a film about women, it's like, oh, in the age of Donald Trump, it's good to have a film about women.
Yeah.
Or a film about some, braggadocio or whatever. Oh, a film about a braggadocio now. I don't think I can take it in the era of Trump. It's like, just, politics is an entertainment. They're separate entities.
Yeah, they should be separate entities.
Anyway, carry on.
Yes. So yeah, it doesn't it doesn't deserve the praise.
No.
Like if the film had come out when it was supposed to in 2019, it would have been up against Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
The highest grossing film ever.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't have toppled Marvel's Dominance. The only reason it's toppled Marvel's Dominance.
Dominance. No, dominance.
I'm emphasizing my mistakes.
Oh, I see. Okay, sorry. I thought you were doubling down on it.
Because of how annoyed I am by them and how annoyed this film makes me. But the only reason it toppled Marvel's Dominance is because there hasn't been a Marvel film this year.
Are they saying it toppled Marvel's dominance in the sense that it took money that would have gone
No, in the sense that every superhero film for the past 10 years that has been the highest grossing superhero film of the year has been a Marvel movie. And this is the first year where that is not the case.
That's because Marvel's film hasn't come out.
Exactly, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Had the film come out, had Sonic come out when it was supposed to, it would have been competing with Avengers Endgame, and it would not have made money.
And also,
had Black Widow come out, it'd have been competing against Black Widow.
And also, the year's not even fucking over yet.
And also, Aquaman.
What about Aquaman?
Like, that is a blatantly superhero film that did really well at the box office. I don't think you can claim that it...
The thing is that it was at the top. I don't know if Aquaman was at the top in its respective year. There might have been like 1 or 2 years in the last 10 years where like DC maybe pipped the post when they were slightly above Marvel. No. But this is the point. They're like, oh, this is the first superhero movie outside of like Marvel and that sphere that is at the top of the box office. But it's not. And also, the year is not over yet. Wonder Woman's still coming out this year, right?
Yeah.
That's probably going to do really well.
I thought that had been delayed.
I think it is, isn't it? Or was it?
No, it's coming out around Christmas time, I think.
Okay.
It's either the 23rd or the 26th of December.
I mean, I think you can only say it toppled the monopoly if, they were both out and one was clearly taking money from the other one.
Yes.
You know, a Marvel film, which usually would have grossed over $1 billion, is grossing $600 million. It's like, why? Well, people are going to see Sonic instead. That would be fair enough.
Like, Birds of Prey and Sonic came out the same weekend, I think.
Okay.
And there was that hoopla about people were like accusing the Sonic movie of being misogynist and like racist, so that they would go see Birds of Prey instead.
Right.
because and it ended up that like Sonic ended up taking a lot more money than Birds of Prey. So in that instance, they were like, "Oh, Sonic is Sonic is he's on the scene now. He's like competing with the big boys. He's taking down Birds." Like that's fine because they came out in the same period.
Yeah,
they were directly competing.
To be fair, Sonic took £100 million more at the box office than Bird of Prey.
No, exactly. It beat Birds of Prey. So in that instance, I can understand it.
But I think that's to be expected anyway, right? Yeah, but that was to be expected anyway, right? Because, I mean, you've got the star power of Margot Robbie and the general idea that it's a superhero film, but nobody knows what Birds of Prey is, for a start.
No.
And everyone knows what Sonic the Hedgehog is. So it's got that brand power.
But women as well. Oh, it's a women-led.
Yeah.
They might have, I don't know if they did the whole, it's the first all-female superhero movie. They probably did, if it was correct.
But, I mean, yeah, you can't even say, toppling the monopoly is one thing. You can't even claim they're sharing the wealth because, it's like, clearly. You can't say that a Marvel film was out, right? And even if Sonic didn't topple it, it was doing well at the box office. Like, hey, it's not Marvel, but people are also going to see Sonic. You can't even claim they're sharing the wealth. You can't claim anything of this sort.
No.
It's a totally disingenuous argument. I'm imagining the people saying that are Sonic fans, are they?
I don't know if it's just Sonic fans. I think it might just be movie people.
Okay.
Like, because they've got nothing to write about, so they've just jumped to, look, Sonic has earned the most money this year, and Marvel hasn't, so there's a story here. There isn't a story here. No. Sonic is it's not a good film.
No.
Stop inventing reasons to like it.
It is interesting how much there seems to be a push to make people like it, but like not from the studio even. Like from
and that's why this is the luckiest fucking movie ever.
Yeah,
because there are all of these like factors that have nothing to do with the film and its production, but they're only beneficial to the film.
I think it's the goodwill that was generated, not just from changing it up, but the fact that most people expected it to be a laughable turkey of a film, and it turned out to be just a mediocre film. You know what I mean? It's like, good, it exceeded my expectations. And I guess it has a good heart, it's not like a cynical film or anything like that. I know. But here's the thing. Had there been none of that context before we saw the film, right? None of that about them reanimating him or the fact that everyone thought it was going to be so terrible, and we had just watched it cold, I would have come on the podcast and given it a bad review. But because all that stuff was there, and because I guess how much you hated it, like I've said before, we had to kind of go, well, it's just an okay film. But usually, okay films are the films that we slander on this podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We don't like okay films. We like good films.
Jord, out of curiosity, do you own the Sonic film on DVD?
No, and don't buy it for me. I know
it's Christmas coming up, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. I've got 10 copies sitting in my basket for you right now, Jord.
How annoyed will you be if we do buy
My father has an incinerator at the bottom of the garden. I will burn it if you buy it for me.
I'll buy multiple copies.
I will burn them all.
Can you do it, put it on a video, put it on the podcast so we can put it up online?
Yes,
okay. What if I got you a Blu-ray, right?
Yeah.
And got it signed by some famous Sonic game people? Then what would you do?
I would still burn it.
You'd burn it if it got autographed by,
and I would send them copies of the video, and I would go, I hope you know that this is like that you were like pawns in a game here.
Right. Well,
Sam, you might want to cancel that Christmas present you told me about last night.
Who voices Sonic?
The current voice actor in the games is Roger Craig Smith.
Do you like Roger Craig Smith?
He's all right. He did the voice of Ezio in the Assassin's Creed games.
Who's your Sonic
And that's sort of all I know about him.
Okay.
Oh, also, he does the voiceover for Say Yes to the Dress Atlanta.
I don't know what that is.
Well, it's a show. Do you know Say Yes to the Dress?
No, of course I don't.
Oh, it seems like the kind of garbage TV you would know.
Oh, is it like a bridal show?
Yeah.
I know some garbage, not all garbage, George.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
You're definitely getting Sonic for Christmas now.
It's a show where women are just like, they've got to pick a dress, is it?
Yeah, they go into a wedding shop.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm getting married. And they're like, oh, congratulations. Do you want a dress? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So they try on a bunch of dresses. The family are really like bitchy and critical.
Yeah.
The bride cries. The people who own the shop step in and are like, the bride gets to choose what she wants. The family give in, and then she buys a dress.
Right.
That is the show.
Okay. And he does the voice for the Atlanta version of that.
He does the voice for the Atlanta version, but This is what's so strange about Say Yes to the Dress. 'Cause my sister and mother watch it. That's how I know about it.
Sure.
So you've got like Say Yes to the Dress.
It's their cat as well, isn't it?
The cat watches it as well.
No, it's their cat as well, isn't it?
Oh, it's their cat. Right? I
Yeah,
thought you
just
were
like
saying,
it's
oh,
not
the
your
cat watches
favourite
it as well.
TV show at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, you've got like Say Yes to the Dress USA, I think, Say Yes to the Dress UK. Like things like that you understand. But then you've got like Say Yes to the Dress Atlanta. And then there's Say Yes to the Dress Lancashire.
Lancashire?
There's some really fucking specific like
Yeah.
variations of the. Weirdly enough, the Lancashire version has Gok Wan on it.
Okay.
He's like the head of the
That
bridal
doesn't
shop.
seem weird to me at all.
It's his
Gokwan
shop.
being on that kind of show sounds exactly right.
Well,
I don't know if you,
it's
like-
the daytime television, isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay, I thought he was a bit more prime time than that.
I don't know. Yeah,
he
I don't
was
know what's
10
going
years
on
ago.
there. Is he
Okay.
from Lancashire?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
He's from space, I
Do you
think,
know
isn't
whereabouts in Lancashire it's set? I'm curious.
In a bridal shop. That's all I could tell you.
I mean, America, the regions are so distinct from each other that it basically is different. You know, they are different countries, aren't they?
Yeah.
So say yes to the rest of Atlanta, say yes to the rest of New York, fine, like completely different experiences.
Yes.
I'm not sure the UK offers as rich
No.
a variation on that.
And I'm sure if it does, Lancashire is not the place you go to get it.
No. Like, if it was in Hull, would it be fundamentally different?
No, it wouldn't. Like,
mean-
Say Yes to the Dress London versus Say Yes to the Dress Manchester. Maybe a little bit.
Sure, thinking about it, this is really interesting, right? Because in America, there is obviously something, there is class, economic class, but you divide areas by, its climate and its topography, things like that.
Yeah.
And its traditions and its accents and that sort of thing. We obviously have different accents, but when I think of the UK, what could you do to make them the most different? It wouldn't be regional. It would be class. So it would be like areas, very, very specific areas. So like, say yes to the dress Oxford. And then say yes.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah.
Or even just areas of London, like Notting Hill or something.
Say Yes to the Dress Kent versus Say Yes to the
Yeah,
Dress.
like say yes to the
Guernsey,
dress
I don't know.
Notting Hill and say yes to the dress Camden would be very different shows, but they're quite near each other even,
Yeah. Is that the big divider in the UK?
Class. Yes.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Gokwan is not from Lancashire
Where's
Why is he
Gokwan
on
from?
Say Yes to the Dress Lancashire then?
because he's
Explain
that
that to me,
guy.
Eddie.
He is that guy. He's the guy that does that kind of show.
It's a job, I suppose.
He's from Leicestershire. And
The
also,
traitor!
I was looking up the location to see whether I'd ever been
feud
there.
between Lancashire and Leicestershire that he is broken.
He's from a different shire even. No, that's not acceptable. Okay.
Terrible stuff.
Yeah, the point was, who is your Sonic then, Jord?
Oh God. What are we going with here? What's the...
Well, David Tennant is your doctor. Or I suppose Matt Smith is really, isn't he?
Matt Smith is my doctor, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, David Tennant's mine.
Yeah, that question, but for Sonic.
Okay, because like, I guess technically John Pertwee was my first doctor,
Okay.
but like Matt Smith is my favourite doctor. Oh God.
If you could preferably choose a Sonic actor that's alive so that we can tweet him.
Yes, this is my
Get
point.
the
Well, they're
autograph.
all alive.
If I got him to autograph the DVD, would you still get rid of it?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
They're all alive. One of the voice actors for Eggman is dead, but all of the Sonic voice actors are still alive.
So we get all of them to sign it. That's what we do.
Do you want their names? I can give you their names if you
Oh,
want.
I mean, I can Google that shit. But
Okay.
we tweet all of the Sonic actors. We get them all to sign it. Would you still incinerate?
Yes.
I don't think your hatred of the film transcends what value that would have. Because wouldn't you just conceptualize it as, well, it's just an object that's been signed?
But it would feel like a betrayal almost to have them to have their names on that film.
Would it be betrayal if they had consented to sign it? So they're not like,
I would want.
they're not being Uncle Toms. They're just...
like when you get like diamonds and they're supposed to come with all this like paperwork that says, oh, they were mined humanely, like no one was killed to get
like
these diamonds.
certification of like verification and all that.
Yeah, I think I'd need that. I would need like documented proof that they weren't coerced into
What about-
signing the Sonic movie.
What if Phil got them to do a little video explaining that to you?
I suppose that would be acceptable.
I did not do this under duress. What if they said, I did not do this if I gave him this statement? I confirm I did not sign that DVD out of duress. In fact, I like the film. What would you do then?
I would rather you not have given them a prepared statement.
Okay, yeah, Jord, out of curiosity, have any of them like denounced the film and said don't go and see it?
I don't think the voice actors have. I know that Yuji Naka, which is like one of the original creators of Sonic, he pretty much denounced it, but I think that was to do more with the redesign. Sorry, with the original design.
Right.
I don't know what his opinions were in the lead up to the film.
So what you're saying is the only person who might have denounced it hasn't really denounced it anymore except you.
No, I'm sure there are people out there who... That's the thing.
But it's toppled Marvel. It's the biggest superhero film to topple Marvel.
Yeah, but I haven't found anyone yet who's like...
He wouldn't be an apostate, would he?
Sorry?
If any of the people in question did do that, they'd be apostates, wouldn't they? I don't think you can work for the Sonic brand and come out and say the film is a bag of shite.
Yeah.
It's probably contractually obliged to not give an opinion.
I'm sure, yeah.
In fact, I know they are, because actors say that all the time. Like, when they do press for films, they can't slag a film off, and then a few years later they go, yeah, it was shit. Like, I can admit that now. That's mad, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I don't know how people can take, like, press junkets seriously. Like, they're not going to give you their honest opinion. I mean, if they do, it's by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you're going to see Parasite, and all the actors saying, this is a masterpiece, it's like, okay, they actually probably do believe that, and they're correct. But I think it's going to be incredibly rare.
Yes.
The amount of things I've seen of, like, esteemed good actors on Graham Norton selling this shit film as if it's the best thing in the world. You can see it behind the eyes.
There's that clip of, in the run-up to Ghostbusters 2016, there's that clip of Bill Murray saying, the reason that we handed the film over to Melissa McCarthy and her people is because we thought they were funny. And we thought they were the best person for the job. I'm not saying he disagrees with that, but like that's always used as like an example of this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
like this is clearly like lying to people.
Yeah.
It's when you see the actors talking about how it's the best performance they've ever done, and then they win a Razzie, and you're like, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of that sometimes that's genuine, right? Because Ricky Gervais clearly thinks Afterlife is the best thing he's ever done.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that's like... Because, you know, Rick Gervais, I don't think he would say...
I mean, his whole shtick is that he doesn't care and he just says what he thinks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, he honestly clearly does think that. And I think because it gets such a warm response on Twitter, I think like a lot of people say, oh man, it really helped me understand Lost. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a really not good show.
I haven't seen it, but I think it was on your disrecommendation.
Yeah.
That I haven't seen Afterlife.
It's just really bland, and basically Ricky Gervais walks into a room. So obviously he's writing it. Someone will like cite a belief in astrology, and then he will take them down, just as Ricky Gervais.
I see.
But you've written that. Like, you can't...
So it's sort of Family Guy-ish, where like he's just written himself into the show and he's slagging off people he doesn't like.
Yeah, it's smug. It does have an air of smugness about it. But he thinks...
I don't mind the first season. The second season is more bland.
More bland. It's got a massive cast of people he obviously just likes.
Yeah.
Which, again, I kind of admire that he's just doing whatever the hell he wants to. But I saw him get asked, like, because they're doing a third series, considering that you always went by the Fawlty Towers thing of 2 good series, a special, and I'm out. How come you're doing a third series? Well, it's the richest world I've created, you know. And I think part of that's got to be it's his baby. It's just him doing it.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
And so I think
I mean, it's certainly the richest thing because he's making fucking shit tons of money out of it.
I think he meant it more, you know, the quality of the world and all that.
I'm pretty certain for the third series he's being paid like 10 mil to make it.
Oh yeah, Netflix. Yeah, probably.
But
you know, so I do think sometimes we'll go on shows and think, this is the best performance I've ever given, and believe it because it was like all about them or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think there is that sometimes.
Well, I'll tell you what, unless George's got anything else to bring up, we'll carry on talking about bad actors.
Go on.
And talk about Hubie Halloween and Adam Sandler and the atrocity that is this Halloween film.
Is Adam Sandler a bad actor, though?
These days, yes.
Or does he just not care most of the time?
I suppose.
You say these days, Eddie, Uncut Gems is still like recent memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't make that.
No, but
he's a bad
he's acted in it.
A bad filmmaker, yes, absolutely.
Yes, he's a bad filmmaker.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go with bad filmmaker.
Okay,
Then. He's a bad filmmaker.
Okay.
So yeah, it's. I mean, what can I say? It's an Adam Sandler film.
That might just be enough, honestly.
Yeah, Kevin James is in it.
Okay.
Maya Rudolph's in it.
Is Kevin James? Is he still doing the Becky thing? Is he still like a neo-Nazi, or has he gone back to?
No. He's got hair now. He's still got the beard. He's got a massive beard. But he plays a police officer that looks like a twat. Kenan Thompson's in it. Steve Buscemi. Rob Schneider, of course, the usual suspects.
Have we figured out what Adam Sandler has over Steve Buscemi yet?
I think Steve Buscemi must just like him, genuinely. I think because Steve Buscemi.
We're talking about the same Adam Sandler, right?
Well, we don't know what he's like, do we? I mean,
no, we don't know what he's like, but we've got more than enough material to base an opinion on. You know.
Well, if you watch I don't know if we've talked about it before, but I would say the best thing Red Letter Media ever did, which was their Jack and Jill review.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like more than a review. It's like a dissection of his motive.
Yeah.
Or at least what they assume to be his motive. Basically, that they list all the things that they were expected to see in an Adam Sandler film. And Eddie briefly talked to me about it earlier, and it seems like a lot of those are being ticked off. So there's sports people cameos, right?
Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal plays a radio DJ.
There's SNL cameo. A lot of SNL people are in it, Tim Meadows and all that. I asked if there was any product placement, and you said not that you really noticed.
But that doesn't mean much because he works in like a delicatessen, so there probably were shit tons. I just wasn't paying attention to
stuff around. And Steve Buscemi, he's clearly he's a workman actor, isn't he? A kind of a journeyman actor in that I think he does it for the job of it. I think he obviously enjoys it, but I get the sense it's work. And sometimes he's passionate about things. Like, I think he was about The Sopranos, and I think he was obviously about Boardwalk Empire, and he's directed a film or two. But I think most of the time he's just like doing films that pay. And I think Adam Sandler, if you subscribe to Red Letter Media's interpretation of him, probably it pays a lot to be in an Adam Sandler film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't, my opinion of Buscemi does not go down.
Well, I did say to Sam beforehand, he is probably the best thing in the film.
Yes.
Okay.
So he plays a man who escaped from a sane asylum.
Right.
Who legitimately thinks that he is a werewolf.
Oh my god, is he reprised his character from Con Air?
Garland Green, yeah.
Yeah.
And because there is a bit where Rob Schneider is the other one from the insane asylum, and there is a moment where Steve Buscemi, they're like sat in the police station having given themselves in, and Steve Buscemi he just licks Rob Schneider's hand and just clearly thinks he's and it's the bit that really like just made me laugh because I was like, this is just the most ridiculous thing. But Steve Buscemi thinking he's a werewolf, just casually licking someone's hand.
Does Rob Schneider think he's anything?
So he doesn't think he's a werewolf.
Itself,
no, I was going to say, out of context, that's a great question to ask. Does Rob Schneider think he's anything?
But he's
thinks he's accomplished anything.
But he's also come from the asylum and is of the he's of the opinion, he agrees with the fact that they call it the like full moon or werewolf asylum or something like that.
Right.
So like they obviously all think they're fucking insane.
But I mean that's such an easy thing of like a double act. If Buscemi thinks he's a werewolf and you have Schneider thinking he's a vampire or something, like probably get a lot of laughs out of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm just a bit offended on Buscemi's behalf because I think they've done that as a joke about his teeth.
Oh, maybe. You know what? Yeah.
Maybe.
I can see that being the case. Yeah.
But yes, Hubie Halloween. It's a film in which Adam Sandler plays a guy called Hubie Dubois, who
not Hubie Doobie. It should have been Hubie Doobie.
It should have been.
He's referred to as Hubie Doobie, and he's also referred to as Puby for a lot of the film.
Of course he is.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's set in the town of Salem, right. And on Halloween he basically is a volunteer Halloween monitor for the city.
Meaning,
like much like a hall. He literally walks around with a sash that says monitor.
Well, like making sure that like no zombies rise from the graves. Like what sort of Halloween monitor?
As in making sure kids don't take like more than one candy from a bowl.
Right. Okay. That's a one-man
That
job,
level-
is it?
Well,
In Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then people start getting kidnapped. Turns out to be from his mother. Spoiler alert for anyone that actually wanted to watch it. It turns out that his mother is kidnapping all the people that have bullied him over the years.
Right.
Because he is the butt of basically all the jokes. He has a speech thing. So he doesn't talk proper.
He has a speech impediment. What kind of impediment is it?
I can't impersonate it.
Well, you're going to have to.
So I'm going to tell anyone, if they want to know what I'm talking about, go and watch the trailer.
Can you explain what kind of impediment it is?
He just doesn't talk. Like, there's just... It's like he's tried to put on an accent and thrown a speech impediment into it.
Okay.
But
like, what?
I'm really offending...
Can't pronounce his S's, his R's?
You gotta give us something, Eddie. Come on.
I don't
Is he doing
honestly,
that Adam Sandler thing? Is he doing that kind of voice?
But he's gone for more of a speech impediment on that.
That being?
I'm not doing it. I'm
Just
not
explain
doing
it.
it.
What does he do?
I'm not doing it.
I'm so curious. I might have to watch the film now. Is it ours? Is it a Jonathan Ross thing? Can he not pronounce his R's?
Kind of, yeah.
You're a tease.
But it's not just his R's.
Well, is it his A's, his B's, his C? Does he not pronounce any word at all?
Is he mute? Is that the impediment?
Does he just, like, when people speak to him, does he just stare at them?
If he was mute, it would be a much better film.
Okay.
I can't remember what I was saying. It's
Eddie, why did you watch this film?
because it's Halloween and I knew it was going to be terrible.
Okay.
And
was it as terrible as you were hoping?
I really, 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 really wish I hadn't watched it.
Okay. But is it
I don't
terrible?
recommend
assume
it
when
to
you say-
anyone other than go and watch the trailer and that'll probably be enough.
Well, I assume when you say you thought it was going to be terrible, you thought it was going to be entertainingly terrible. Because this is not a film that we were ever planning to do on the podcast. You did this of your own accord.
I was
Yeah.
considering watching this for the purposes of podcast. I had too much on my plate.
Right.
But it was the matter genuinely like, oh, it's something we could, watch a terrible Halloween film and talk about it. But it doesn't even seem to be, like, Halloween is just a set decoration, really, isn't it, Eddie? It's not,
Well, yeah, it's all set around Halloween, but the story is more about, like, the fact that he's this monitor and there's people that, like, he's the butt of the jokes very early on. And then in the end, as I say, it's revealed that it's his mother.
I thought it was going to be like a Pixels, but Halloween themed. But it's not that.
No. So yeah, no, don't recommend it. But
Okay.
if you want to know what that speech impediment is, go and watch the trailer.
Not going to give us anything? No flavor, no taste? No?
Why?
No.
Why are you so unwilling? Because it's not that you can't do it; it's that you're unwilling to do it. Because you're not even describing it to us. So what is genuinely, Eddie? What does he do?
Do you know what? I'm just going to find a clip.
No, Eddie. I'm asking you.
Are you worried of offending somebody? Is that what it is?
I'm point blank telling you what I would do would be offensive, so I'm not going to do it.
Okay, is he doing like that faux Chinese like ha ha ha? Is he doing stuff like that?
Are people in the... is this a speech impediment that people have?
I'm guessing so.
Okay. Because he's obviously making fun of it, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a prick at times, that's why.
Okay. Well, I just want to let the audience know I would have done it.
Yeah, Sam, I don't doubt that. I'm just telling you I'm point blank refusing to do that on the podcast.
But you will not even describe it to us.
I'm just saying he's got a speech impediment.
What is it, though?
Go look it up.
It's like me saying, oh, he mocks a certain type of person, and you're saying, oh, who? And I say, okay, he mocks Down syndrome people. Like, but you're not even like this. I'm not asking you to do an impression
Because I
of
don't
someone.
know how to describe it to you well enough.
Okay, all right, okay. So it's like a unique, idiosyncratic thing.
It's something I think he's either seen or heard somewhere and gone, I'll do this voice for the film.
I swear to God, Eddie, if I look up the trailer and he's just got like a lisp, I'm gonna be really fucking annoyed with you.
No, okay.
You've watched the trailer, Jordan, innit?
Yeah, okay.
Is this all ploy? Are you on the Adam Sandler payroll to get us to go watch the fucking movie?
Nah.
No.
Because I tell you what, it's fucking working. Like,
I am intrigued.
he has a speech impediment in this film. What kind of speech impediment? What kind of speech impediment? Just a speech impediment. Yeah, but what type though? What type though?
It's because
Watch the film, Jordan.
it's because we have a morbid curiosity, and it's because you know that we like to flirt with political incorrectness. And so it's like, this is the best way of making us go see the films. Like, oh, there's something in it that's just like blatantly offensive, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. Like, well, I've got to go see what that is. Okay.
If he is not in blackface doing like the African clicking tongue thing, Eddie, I'm going to be so disappointed in you. Because that's where I'm at in terms of like, it has to be at least this good for me to accept.
It's not. It's not.
Does Steve Buscemi ever do an impression of a wolf? A werewolf?
He howls.
Is that in the trailer?
I don't know if that's in the trailer.
Because I might have to watch it if that's not in the trailer.
Honestly, just watch Buscemi's bits. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have anything more to say about Hubie Halloween?
No.
Okay. What's next then?
I believe Borat.
Yeah.
Borat.
The subsequent movie film. Who wants to kick that one off?
I think Jordan does.
Oh, do
Yeah,
I?
that's what I thought.
You wouldn't happen to be like testing whether I watched it or not, would you, Sam?
Not at all.
No?
Not at all.
Well, I have watched it.
Yeah. Oh no,
So fuck you.
I expected you to have watched Borat because it's inane.
Right, okay. I expect that of you, Jordan.
I mean, the difference, Jord, is I'm imagining, and I'm pretty certain I'm correct on this, that both me and Sam have watched the original Borat in the space of this year.
Well, that's the thing. The plan was never to watch the original Borat. It was to watch Borat 2 and discuss it for the podcast. But having now watched Borat 2 very recently as well, I watched it like last night. I wish I had enough time left to have watched the original Borat as well. Because I really would have loved to have like gone back to the original and seen, firstly, whether it's all nostalgia. Like, does the film actually hold up? Is it actually funny? Do I actually still like it the way that I liked it before? And also to see how it sort of handles itself, I guess. Like, how does it do the integration of like hidden camera stuff and scripted material? How like well made is it? How balanced is it in like the people that it goes after? Because like watching Borat 2, I just couldn't meet it on a level, you know?
Right.
I wasn't really taken by Borat 2 at all. I think once or twice I laughed, but for the most part, I found it quite unfunny. And I felt it like, I'd say like, oh, this is a product of age, but I'm only like 25. I guess I'm still kind of in the demographic of Borat.
I don't think so.
No?
Well, it depends on, again, I suppose the level at which you're meeting it. Borat is perfect for 14-year-old boys.
Yeah.
Who
The demographic that legally are not allowed to watch it.
Yeah, the ones who are just getting into Frankie Boyle and Jimmy Carr and like rude jokes for the sake of rude jokes or dark humor for the sake of dark humor.
Because that's one of the reasons I would have loved to have seen the original, because I would have loved to see, is this still funny, or is this do I just see this as like infantile and I guess cruel? There's like moments, I don't know, we'll talk about it, like I don't know how much genuine hidden camera stuff there is in this film. A lot of it just felt fake.
Yeah.
A lot of the moments where it felt like, oh, this is clearly supposed to be a hidden camera moment, felt staged and just like didn't make sense to me on a technical level.
Yeah.
But the moments where I thought like, oh, this sort of, I could believe this is a hidden camera moment, it just felt cruel.
Right.
Like the way he was treating people. Like, what was the scene where he goes to like the pastor and his daughter has swallowed like a plastic baby.
Yeah.
But they frame it as, they don't tell him it's a plastic baby, they just say it's a baby. Obviously to trick him into thinking that they want an abortion.
Yeah.
As opposed to, we want you to get this plastic baby out of my daughter's stomach.
Yeah.
That just felt cruel.
It's a cheap shot, isn't it, is what it is. It's...
Yeah.
Well, so the original Borat, I saw, I guess, around the time it came out, so I would have been about 13.
Yeah.
Perfect. I did like Frankie Boyle, you know, I liked that sort of humor, and at the time it just felt like, oh man, this is breaking all the boundaries, you know, it's...
Yes.
And I rewatched it this year, and I still liked it. It does have that infantile dimension to it.
Yeah. Which is not inherently a bad thing.
No. But there are things about the original Borat that I really like. I mean, obviously, Sacha Baron Cohen is Jewish, and so the anti-Semitism is, he's trying to, like, you know, shine a light on anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the stuff in the first film where he's in the old Jewish couple's house, you know, and thinks they've turned into cockroaches, and when he's talking to that Texan, and the guy's like, you might want to shave your mustache because you look Muslim.
Right.
He's like, around here we don't really like that. And Borat is sometimes at its best when he shuts up.
Yeah.
And lets other people talk. There's less of that in this film. But yeah, I feel like some of the targets were so soft. And in the first film, there was some lip service paid to taking shots at both sides. There's the racism stuff in the South, and then like he goes to that the feminist women's meeting, and kind of again, it's not to ridicule them, it's to ridicule the idea of someone who would ridicule them. But still, there was that in there. And there was none of that in this. It was all anti-right-wing, anti-Republican.
There was nobody in this film that is ridiculed that wasn't already the target of ridicule.
Yes, and you're right. Like, the people... It feels like he's trying to make certain people look bad, and it just proves how decent they are a lot of the time.
Yeah, like, nobody seems to be biting.
No,
like there doesn't seem to be any of like that example I gave of the pastor who's in that medical clinic, whatever the setup there is.
Yeah.
And they're like pretending that they're asking for an abortion. He handles that situation really fucking well.
Yeah, it's not a fire and brimstone, you're going to hell or anything like that.
No, there's none of that. Like as far as he's concerned, like when Borat's going, I put a baby in my daughter, naughty me. Like, as far as the pastor is concerned, this guy's just basically confessed to incest.
Yes.
And his response to that is, it doesn't matter how we got here, the point is this is where we're here now.
Yeah.
That's really, he's really nice.
Yeah.
He's really like understanding.
And he's not saying, again, there's no invective. It's all just, listen, we don't do abortions here. You've got your wires crossed clearly.
Yeah.
But like trying to like counsel them, And there's where he goes, the best character in the film by far is the old Jewish woman in the synagogue.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down the most loveliest,
What a lad.
Yeah, like goes there, basically, the shtick being that he's incredibly anti-Semitic. And disguised as a Jew with a massive nose and all that. Yeah. And she's
just
just
holding like a money bag and he's got like a
claws
as well.
Yeah. And she's just like, I want to hug you. Come over here, sit down with us. You're going to be fine. He's like, maybe the poison will like set in later or whatever. She's like, don't be ridiculous. You're going to be fine. Look at me. Look at her nose. Look at my nose. It's normal. We're normal people.
Yeah.
And like, it's really just like, as far as she's concerned, meeting a genuine anti-Semite and is just trying to be nice to him.
Yeah.
And that's her argument is, look, we're human beings. And then he says, I'm hungry. And it cuts to them having given him food.
Yeah.
Like they're just sitting eating a meal together. And it's...
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that is not, again, the film... that's making a point for the film, isn't it?
That's the thing though. Like that leads to like a plot beat in the film.
Yes.
And that's what I mean about like not knowing, like not remembering how the first film dealt with like its scripted content versus its unscripted content. Like there are a lot of moments in this film where there are like plot beats and almost like returning characters, like the guy that the guy who sends the faxes back to Kazakhstan.
Mm-hmm.
Like he had to have been in on it, right? There's no way that he turns up at like pivotal moments in the plot. Yeah. There's no way that he would just be going along with this and not realize, even if it's not like, oh, I'm in a Borat film. It's like, okay, there are cameras here. This guy's sending absurd messages. I'm getting absurd messages in return.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of something here.
Maybe. You know? I mean, obviously that the guy is at the that tax shop. He obviously becomes in on it, doesn't he?
Yes.
I can't remember his name now. But
Ryan,
yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell, and
which I suppose you could say is a good thing, that you can't tell where you can't see the seams of it. But also, like, again, early in the film when he goes to that shop and he's buying a cage to keep his daughter in, and he's saying to the guy, "How many Jews could I kill with this gas canister?" And the guy's like, "Oh, you could probably kill a couple of Jews."
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether I'm looking at it through the perspective of, like, being British, or whether I'm looking at it through the perspective of, like, having worked in retail for 6 years.
Right.
But again, if these two people show up with, like, a camera crew, because most of the cameras they use are, like, clearly good quality cameras.
Yes.
That you wouldn't be able to hide.
No.
So the people are very much aware that there's a camera crew present.
Yeah.
Despite what the film might suggest. But yeah, if these people turn up with a camera crew, and he's like, I want to put my daughter in a cage. Like, as someone who's worked in retail for 6 years, you just kind of go, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll just go along with it and be as neutral as possible until you go away. Because I just don't want to deal with your shit right now.
But that's the thing, most people who they're trying to make look ignorant or kind of tacitly, like that guy, you could look at it and go, he's not challenging him at all on this.
Yeah.
Most people just want a quiet life.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't mean that he thinks it's okay for him to go off and like murder Jewish people with it. It's like, oh, whatever. He's using it as like a shorthand or something.
Yeah. Or they're like the bottom of the ladder in terms of like, oh, this company who has very strict like customer service policies. You can't challenge the customer. You can't raise your voice at the customer. You must agree with them. You must placate them. Like, they're probably just following rules.
Yeah, they're Americans as well. They have an agreeable spirit, especially when it comes to customer relationships. It is like, whatever the customer wants, we got to make it the best experience possible.
Yeah, I mean, that guy made, what, $1,500 out of that Borat scene? If they genuinely purchased those goods, he made $1,500 out of that purchase. Of course you would just be like, yeah, sure, I'll just like agree with what you're saying. I don't care.
That's, I would say, even the worst characters in the film, right, who I would say are the people he goes and stays with, you know, the right-wing paranoid nutters.
Again, like, I looked that up because he said, like, there's a couple of articles about that specific scene saying that Sacha Baron Cohen had to stay in character for 5 days because he was stuck in lockdown for 5 days. So I think they're framing it as these are people that genuinely weren't in on it and he's just pretending to...
Right, yeah.
But I just don't believe it. Because again, they become involved in the plot. They have to go to the daughter and sort of convince her to, like, give herself over to Giuliani, is there?
Yeah.
Like, when Borat shows them the book that keeps coming back in the film, the daughter's owner's manual, when he shows that book to them, and there's those diagrams of those men raping the woman during childbirth, they go, "That I don't believe that. That's a conspiracy theory. That doesn't make any sense to me." But then when they go to the daughter and they say, "Oh, your father will be executed. They're going to tie him to cows and rip him apart."
Yes.
Like, they don't seem to call bullshit on that. So
it depends. Right.
The problem is, what is the rules of, what is the framework of this film? What is the reality of this film?
Well, just for the sake of this review, let's assume that nobody was in on it, that appears not to be in on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because it's impossible for us to know, isn't it? And it's hard to talk about. Let's assume they are just real people, which I would be willing to believe. Because I think if they are like genuine kind of xenophobic nutters, then is it raping a woman in childbirth? What? Because it's like...
Well, I think there was like the diagram was of men spit roasting someone and they were talking about childbirth. So I think that was the idea.
But it's the idea that she gives birth and then immediately gets spit roasted.
Yes.
But there was something about if you do something a certain way, like they'll give birth to a something.
Oh, it was male babies are born standing up. They can walk immediately after childbirth.
Okay, yeah. And they're like, that's not true. But I think if someone who knows nothing about Kazakhstan, it's just like a third world toilet somewhere as far as they're concerned. Yeah. If like the government puts people to death by pulling them apart, I would say that's within the realm of believability because there are barbaric practices like that still practiced in parts of the world. So if you knew nothing about the world, you could reasonably go, yeah, all right, fair enough. Like it's just,
as I say, it could be seen as a positive that you can't tell where the seams are.
Yeah.
But for me, it only led me to the point where I just couldn't believe anything that was happening.
Okay.
But I genuinely didn't know because again, there are so many encounters, like the black babysitter, for example. She becomes like pivotal to the daughter's character development.
Yeah.
I don't believe that was a genuine conversation they had because it has too many ramifications. And also, she comes back later in the film after the coronavirus hits.
It depends. It's either like, they're in on it. Either they're in on it, they lucked out, in that it just like helped the narrative they wanted, or they did it with loads of different people and the best one they chose. You know what I mean? I don't know. But like, because we can't know, I'm just going to operate for the purposes of this review on the assumption that they are real people.
Okay. I'll give the film.
Yeah.
I'll go there with you. Sure.
So let's say those right-wing guys are genuine.
Yeah.
They believe these stupid things, and you know the fact that they came up with that song, and you know, yes, these are the people that these are who everyone thinks Trump supporters are. Right, this is the Trump support. Yeah. Okay, there are odious parts of them, but even when like the foreigner walked up to the guy and was like, "Can I stay with you?" They took him in. Like they took him into their house. Yeah. They gave like asylum to this guy. So even the worst people in the film are like, They have a decency to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I felt like the film failed in that respect. I didn't think it was totally unfunny. There were bits I laughed at. I can't really remember any of them now.
No.
But even like the Republican women's group, was there any point to that other than like trying to make Republican women uncomfortable?
Again, I don't know whether that was just a case of, oh, we'll do a scene where we make fun of Republican women, or whether they needed a scene where the daughter like had character development.
Or both,
And they put it in like they thought, oh, we'll do it in like a women's institute, and that'll give us an opportunity to make fun of them.
But even then, right? Like, okay, so we're gonna like take these down a peg or two. This woman is speaking. She goes up to the stage like, I must speak. They're like, yeah, please. Like, this is the place for you to do so. I just feel like the point you're trying to make is completely falling flat. I mean, it's not going to change any minds.
No, because as I say, everyone who is mocked in this film was already mocked.
Yeah.
So it's not as if it's finding new targets, and it's not revealing anything about anyone. It's just kind of, it's just like, Instagram stars, like Southerners who like guns, Trump supporters. We hated these people already.
Yeah.
You're just kind of, there's no shock value. I think that was another thing as well.
Yeah.
There's no shock value to this film.
No.
And I don't know whether that's just a sign of the times or a sign of how toothless this film is.
I would say the biggest shock the film has is that if he actually legitimately managed to dupe people like that again, then that shows that there are a lot of stupid people.
That was weird.
But we know that much. I mean,
well, yeah, but like that is, I mean, my sort of 2 cents on this is I think it is still the most unnecessary sequel we've had this year, and I just don't think we needed Borat back.
Well, the argument would be it's the election. Like, that would have been the only argument.
Well,
and
yeah,
so,
I mean, I kind of felt like that's why they've done it.
Yes, that's why that's clear, and release it now as well. Like, that is why they've done it.
It was less anti-Trump than I thought it was going to be.
It's more anti-Republican, I would say, than anti-Trump.
Yeah.
But, like, it's the thing with Giuliani, the most, the explosive thing in the film, I suppose. All of that has been called into question.
Yeah.
I haven't read into it, but apparently that's all complete bullshit and manipulation and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Who knows? So that, by far, the most controversial thing in the film, and you can't even take it that seriously. Yeah. Like, crashing the Mike Pence event, I don't really know what that served to achieve.
No.
Other than, like, showing, like, in the early stages of coronavirus, they were telling people it's under control. Okay, fair enough. But other than that...
I don't think that's disputed, though.
No, like, everyone knows that, and what were they going to say? Panic! So it's like... it's all a bit silly. I thought she was pretty good. I thought she was better than him in the film, the daughter.
Yeah, the daughter...
Maria Bakalova.
Yeah, the daughter takes the brunt of it, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Like, Borat, he does a couple of things which are a bit like, it would require a bit of bravery to do that.
Yeah.
Like him going to that anti-Trump event, like if that... Not anti-Trump, anti-mask events.
Yeah.
Like if that had gone awry, then that could have gone bad for them, especially since there were a lot of people with guns at that event.
Yeah.
But like the daughter does that, she has that like period dance.
Yes.
They go to like the ball together and she has like a period while they're dancing.
Yeah.
And she's like made up to look like disgusting and hideous, and she's like, she's doing a lot of the legwork in terms of the comedy. Sacha Baron Cohen is just kind of there for a lot of it.
I suppose that's a function of she's less recognizable, isn't it?
Maybe.
But I thought she was really good, like really up for it,
Yeah, she really went for it, and that was commendable, definitely. Sacha Baron Cohen has apparently said that it would be a travesty if she doesn't get nominated for an Academy Award.
No, it would not be a travesty. She's good. She's good. She's not Oscar good.
No.
Do you think the Oscars would nominate her?
No.
No, I'd say instinctively, but I don't know anything about the Oscars anymore, so...
No.
I don't. I think she might get a Golden Globe nomination.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
In the musical or comedy category.
Yeah.
In like as a lead, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, I can see that. Like I said, I'm not really the audience for this film.
No.
If it's trying to convert me out of what I think, it did a terrible job. It's not changing anybody's minds. And like the thing that the nail in the coffin, luckily it was at the end, but it was the kid in the troll farm saying, as a black person, I really like Trump or whatever.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that no black people are Trump supporters?
I feel really sorry for minorities, Republican minorities.
Oh, yeah.
Those people just don't seem to exist in the eyes of the left, do they?
Oh no, they exist, but they're race traitors.
Oh, they're race traitors. Okay.
They're Uncle Toms.
Yeah. Yeah, those people must have it the worst, genuinely.
Yes, in that sense, because they're basically considered in the same way that Muslim apostates are considered, which is you've betrayed your people.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how recognized those people are on the right as well. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be the same thing. We're like, oh, you're a race traitor. We don't want you supporting the Republican Party. It wouldn't be that. I just don't know how.
Oh no, there's none of that on the Republican side in the sense of, oh my God, you're a woman and you're voting for the Democrats. There's none of that.
Yeah,
there's not, because the Democrat, or you're a white man and you're voting for the Democrats, because the Democrats think all minorities are their people.
Yes.
From women to disabled to ethnic minorities to religious minorities, we're your guys. Republicans have nothing like that. No one's betraying their camp,
Yeah.
Other than the far right Republicans, which obviously just hate anybody that's of a different skin color.
Yes.
Eddie, what did you think of the film?
Well, this thing. So because I rewatched the first one. The first one is just not the kind of film I really watch anymore.
Yeah.
So in that sense, wasn't a massive fan. I get what it would have been at the time and stuff like that, and obviously it is a mockumentary.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt it was a bit meh. I didn't really. I'd say I think it's the most unneeded sequel. I don't think we needed to see Borat again, to be honest.
No, we didn't. It's not as perfunctory as I imagined it would be. In there was enough narrative stuff, for it to make sense. It wasn't just, oh, you're gonna get more Borat. They really justified themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's elements of that I like at the beginning. They seem to have taken the first one into consideration.
Yeah.
There's weird moments like that though, because you've got moments where. A moment that I think a lot of people may have completely forgotten about the first one is Borat takes a shit outside Trump Tower.
Yes.
And they use that as a reason why they're going after Mike Pence, because we can't go after Trump.
Yeah.
Because Trump won't let us anywhere near him.
Yeah.
That's really, well considered.
That's good, yeah.
But then you've got other moments, like when he's in the Prime Minister's office in Kazakhstan and they're using the CCTV footage. That CCTV is clearly, a normal camera that they're using.
Yeah.
Kazakhstan is supposed to be a shithole. Even the Prime Minister's office is a shithole.
Yeah.
And yet they have really nice CCTV footage. Almost cinema quality cameras.
That was bad. And the very ending with them next to the running of the American.
Oh God,
that was bad.
Was horrible.
That was bad.
Yeah.
What was going on there? Did they forget to film them or something?
I don't know, because they clearly filmed the event.
Yeah. And they're standing right next to each other, so it's not even like a social distancing thing, because they're both right next to each other.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also, a weird thing I noticed is that during the anti-mask rally, they use stock crowd sound effects.
Do they?
Which is very strange, because at that moment in the film, the crowd is on Borat's side. Everyone is cheering.
How did you pick up on that they were using?
Well, he's singing the song that he learned with the people that he's in lockdown with. Obama is a terrorist or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And everyone's cheering, and it cuts to a reaction shot of the crowd, and you can see everybody clapping and applauding and cheering. But I just heard stock sound effects.
Right.
And I went back and specifically to listen to it, and I find that strange, because I don't know why. There's no the audio that they would be the crowd would have been cheering. It was no audio to replace.
Maybe it just sounded not as enthusiastic as they wanted it to.
Yeah, maybe they're just trying to beef it up or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. But that felt weird to me, because it wasn't even a case of, aha, I've seen you, I've caught you manipulating events. They weren't. Because the stock sound effect was just reinforcing what was already happening.
Yeah.
So I just found that really strange. There are a couple of moments like that where on a filmmaking level the seams show, like the terrible green screen and we've discussed those.
I've always looked at it as the Kazakhstan stuff is all scripted and narrative. So that's allowed to have an artifice to it to some degree.
Okay.
But not to that extent though. It's still gonna look like the rest of the film.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? All of Kazakhstan is very rigidly written, and then anything in America is not.
Yes.
But it's hard to tell. I don't know. I just think its purpose its objective will have failed.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's going to convince anybody either way.
Okay.
No.
So if we, I know I'm sure the point of the film is it's supposed to change minds and be like, oh, look at the Republicans. Ooh.
Yeah.
But if you take that away, what we're left with is the question, is the film funny? Like, can you just watch it as a comedy film? Can you?
There are moments.
Okay.
It has moments.
No, but I just don't think it's the kind of film for me.
Right, okay.
I wouldn't have probably... I might have watched it. But I certainly watched it because I knew we would discuss it on the podcast.
This is a film where you can't really separate the its intent from its content.
No,
because,
that might be unfair.
Yeah.
Like an unfair question to ask. But also, like, you know, I feel like there are going to be people who want to watch Borat because they want to laugh.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to watch Borat because it's funny, not I'm going to watch Borat because it shits on Republicans.
Well, if you agree with the film's general thesis, you're going to be howling with laughter for the whole film.
Okay.
So, like, I think they are inextricably tied, those two things. Like I said, there were some non-partisan laughs. I can't quite remember any of them, but I did laugh a few times.
Okay.
Mainly at something the daughter did. But it was basically propaganda, so...
Okay. So is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down on Borat?
Oh, a thumbs down.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Thumbs down. It's not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's not good. But it's not good.
The idea of making him patient zero for coronavirus, and that's how it got everywhere.
Yeah.
Fair enough, whatever.
I mean, what I like about that is that clearly wasn't the intention from the beginning, because coronavirus, I know Mike Pence mentions it during that speech, but coronavirus doesn't really come into play until like over an hour into the film.
Yeah.
And the film is an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it really is like the last stretch of the film where it becomes a factor.
Yeah.
So they clearly didn't start writing the film as, oh, Borat's going to spread coronavirus.
No.
Because there was no coronavirus when this film started. So I like that. I like that. Again, that felt like my memory of the first film, where they're just like, they're taking all of the factors surrounding the film and they're sort of incorporating them into the script.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that feels well good. And when the coronavirus thing happens, it doesn't feel like tacked on. Like, the way they present it, it seems plausible that this was the plan from the start, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
So I admire that aspect.
The Tom Hanks cameo, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
Thumbs down, broadly.
Okay. We have the first Borat.
We have the first one, yeah.
I will rewatch the first Borat. But yeah, we have the first Borat. We didn't need the second.
Agreed.
Okay, so what have we got next?
Trial of the Chicago 7.
Trial of the Chicago 7.
So, it follows the Chicago 7. It's a
Their
group
trial
of
specifically, I think.
Yeah, it's their trial, right?
anti-Vietnam War protesters that were charged with conspiracy and crossing state lines with the intention of inciting riot at the 1968 Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
Did you just make that up?
No, I'm reading it off Wikipedia. In Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's alright, isn't it? It's alright.
Well, let's get a few caveats out of the way first. I'm going to assume that the film's depiction of events is broadly correct.
I would say
yeah.
so. I know there are dramatic conceits in there.
Yes.
Just to make the narrative a bit neater.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't believe there's any point where the film is twisting events too
I would
far.
say, yeah, it hasn't made it on... there isn't a bit on Wikipedia yet about using dramatic license. That's usually a good sign.
Yes.
Yeah. There are certain incidents that come down to his word versus his word.
Mm-hmm.
Like Tom Hayden, when he said he wasn't egging on the protesters, and the cop says he was, and the film decides that Eddie Redmayne is telling the truth.
Yeah, Tom Hayden's telling the truth.
Yeah, like that's... No one can really know that for certain. So,
No.
But like things like that, okay. But the film does have an opinion about who's telling the truth. It wasn't leaving any ambiguity, like The Social Network kind of did a bit.
Okay.
Who knows the true account. Yeah, in terms of its politics, they're the kind of lefties I can put up with. Like old school hippies fighting for a decent cause.
Yeah.
To end the Vietnam War, which was a terrible war. In the argument between Tom Hayden and Abby Hoffman, where Hayden is like, you're my problem with the left is that everyone's going to think of you in the future when they think of the left as like losers who have long hair and smell, all these different things.
Yeah.
I'm with Hayden in that thing. Like, I think the film kind of wants you to be on Hoffman's side more in that particular exchange because he kind of gets the last word on it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm kind of with Hayden. I'm with Hayden's school of leftism. I mean, Hoffman uses the term cultural revolution without any irony.
Yep.
Mao's cultural revolution killed millions of people.
I was going to say, we should probably explain why that's ironic.
Yes.
Cultural revolution. Should we also, I mean, there's the Sacha Baron Cohen connection.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of you realise that. Sacha Baron Cohen is in Borat and he's in Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yes.
And Trial of the Chicago 7 is unquestionably the stronger showing for him.
Yes.
He is without a doubt probably going to get nominated for an Oscar for it.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was nominated for it.
I don't think he should be.
No, I don't necessarily think he should be, but he will be.
Yeah, if anybody, it's going to be him.
It was the only people that ever made the list in terms of that cast were him or Redmayne, and he will get it over Redmayne.
Well, I suppose, other than maybe Eddie Redmayne, he is the closest thing to a main character that film has, right? Sacha Baron Cohen.
I think most people, would say he is the main character.
Because he gets the final... He sort of goes up on the stand and represents the Chicago 7. And also his stand-up comedy kind of... is part of the framework of the film.
Yes.
It's the showiest role, and he's the one in all the publicity. So, yeah, he will be considered the lead.
Yeah.
He's not the lead. Eddie Redmayne is actually the lead of the film.
Why do you think that?
It's his film. He's the one that has the journey over the course of the film.
Okay.
Sacha Baron Cohen starts one way and ends exactly the same way.
Yeah.
He is not moved at all by the events of the film.
Redmayne does.
Yeah. Hayden has the journey in the film. I want to also say that a lot has been thrown around about it having contemporary relevance. I really don't think it does. Other than the fact that people still protest. We're not in a war that's wrong. Because they're trying to say, it's a Republican government under like a bad leader and freedom of speech is being suppressed. They just don't realize that they're the ones suppressing it now.
I mean... that's sort of unavoidable, isn't it? Whenever in the current climate that we're in, if anything is vaguely political or about politics, you're always going to get the people who turn up and go, "Wow, isn't it great that doesn't happen anymore?" in that like bitchy, sarcastic tone.
Yes. The only thing for me that, in terms of like the real life event that it's based on, that I don't really get is why Bobby Seale was ever part of that trial.
I think that's explained in the film, isn't it? I think they're trying to wrap him up. Yeah, I can't remember the exact reason why they're trying to wrap him up in the trial.
Yeah, I mean...
The thing that I don't understand, and I know that this is more a question about the actual person's motivations than the character's motivations, is why he never got himself another lawyer. I know that in the film they say that like his lawyer...
It was down to trust, wasn't it? He only trusted the other guy.
Well, his actual lawyer went into surgery and he asked if they could postpone the trial so that he would have counsel there to represent him, and they refused. Racism was still a thing back in the times. It was probably because he was black.
Isn't the film's the film's idea of why he was included is that people would think of the Black Panthers when they thought of the...
Yeah, actually, I think that's it. They were using the Black Panthers because he's a Black Panther leader. So they were using the Black Panthers to discredit the Chicago 7.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really Bobby Seale. It wasn't to his detriment. It was to the detriment of everybody else.
Yeah, and the fact that it was like, back in that time as well, that it was a black dude, that it looked more subversive.
Yes.
It wasn't just these upstanding white guys that were being tried.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's if I was in a similar position where I had a lawyer and we were about to go to trial, and I was like, we need to postpone the trial, and the people were like, no, you're going to trial no matter what. Yeah, I'd be fucking pissed. Well, and there might be that impulse to stand there without counsel and be like, look, you've put me in this position.
Yeah.
But also, the guy has a genuine grievance. I don't know why he went the route of protest outside of the bounds of the law, almost. Like, it feels like if he'd actually, like, re-counseled up, he might... I don't know if he would have had a fair shot, because the whole trial is depicted as completely unfair. But he does have a genuine grievance, and I'm surprised that he didn't capitalize on that, I suppose.
You kind of tee up my final caveat, which is, as I said earlier, it's very possible to analyze this film without getting political.
Yeah.
My problem with it, it's not because they're lefties that I instinctively distrust the perspective. It's the fact that they're human. People are people.
Yeah.
And not as unambiguously sinless as the film implies.
Okay.
There's basically no darkness to any of the characters. Maybe Eddie Redmayne a little bit, like with his thing with Cohen, but they're all just like being done a disservice. And I'm not arguing that. Like maybe they genuinely were. I'm willing to believe that. But the fact that like the film is so on their side all the time, like maybe there's a reason that Bobby Seale didn't get another lawyer that has some kind of, there's a dimension of blame to it. You know what I mean? Like maybe he had bad reasons for doing that, but the film would never show that. And so
no. I want to make it clear that I'm sort of on Bobby Seale's side in the sense that I think it's like it's a bad thing that they went ahead with the trial without him having counsel present.
Yeah.
And the fact that the judge keeps trying to lump Mark Rylance into he keeps claiming that Bobby Seale is being represented by the same lawyer that the Chicago 7 are being represented by, and that's just not the case. That's all like horrible. I'm completely on his side about that.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that he never lawyered up again.
Yes.
Because I do feel like, you have a genuine grievance. I'm on your side. Why are you going the way that you're going about it?
Well, do you know what? I gotta say, like, I talked about the West Wing reunion on the Fun Off.
Oh yeah, should we point out that this is an Aaron Sorkin
yes,
film?
It's an Aaron Sorkin film.
He's both the writer and the director. It's his second directorial film, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously, he also wrote The West Wing, and the reunion happened, and I talked about how there was an element of kind of annoying wokeness to it. That's not really in this film, and I saw an interview with him recently where it was writers asking him writing questions, amateur writers, and they were asking about characters, and he said, the most important thing about your characters will never be that they are black, that they are gay, that they are men, that they are women. That will never be the most important thing about them. The important thing is, what is their intention? What is the obstacle in their path? And what kind of people are they? And what are they going to do to surmount that obstacle? That is who your character is. And I was like, the fact that he actually just said skin color is never going to be the most important thing. I was like, that's like a novel, nice thing to hear now, And so it's improved my opinion of him a little bit.
Okay.
And it, in turn, improved my view of the film. I watched it with a lot of trepidation. I'm like, I really, really like Aaron Sorkin, but the times in which we live and the kind of film it is, it had so much capacity to be irritating.
Yes.
And it really, really wasn't.
No.
I wonder how much dramatic license was taken generally in the courtroom scenes.
Yeah, that would have been nice to know.
Yes, and I mean, like the start of the film with the judges interrupting and getting everyone's names wrong and all that, that felt like a transcription. That felt like, that's exactly what happened. But
because I think you said to me, Sam, that like there would be conclusive proof of what was said in that courtroom.
Every second
was
of
being
that.
transcribed.
Yeah, every second.
So it would have been interesting to know at what moment was Sorkin copying off the transcript and at what moment was he being Aaron Sorkin and writing that Aaron Sorkin dialogue.
Because there are definite Sorkin inventions in there. They're just like, it feels like a Sorkin thing. Yeah, but obviously he's juggled it well enough.
Yeah, the fact that who does Keaton play? The former
Attorney General, I believe.
General. Yeah, he was legitimately not allowed to speak in front of an audience. Like that's all legitimate.
Yeah, the broad strokes I completely agree with. I think it's more the minutiae I'm interested in.
Yes, the dialogue.
Like, were the things that were said in the film actually said in the courtroom, and were they said in the way that they were said?
I think probably a lot of it, but not all of it. Isn't it, realistically? I thought
go on.
The whole cast was great.
Yeah, I still definitely really like Mark Rylance.
He was my favourite thing about it.
Yeah. He is up there. Yeah. But I have three favourite performances because it's a big cast and there's a lot to like. I really liked Rylance. I really liked Jeremy Strong as Reuben. I love just that character, like that. He's almost a stereotype, really, but just like the laid back kind of Jewish dope head. I really, really liked him.
She was the love of my life. How long have you known her? Like 8 hours.
He was great, and I liked that. I read up on him recently, and I found out that in later life, he became a very successful businessman. Which is just like, given who the countercultural hippie that he is, you just really don't expect. It's like, oh, good, he grew up and he like became wealthy. I thought Cohen's accent was ropey. It wasn't great.
I can't remember exactly what about it felt off, but I do remember it feeling off.
Yeah, like there are certain texts that clearly that's how the real guy speaks.
Yeah.
His pronunciation of certain things, but yeah, sometimes it veered into his normal accent, English accent.
Yeah.
I thought Yahya Abdul Mateen II was pretty good, but as you pointed out, George, when he's interrupting the case, the trial, he's also interrupting the film. So
Yes.
it's like it is actually quite annoying. He is a nuisance. But my favorite thing was Eddie Redmayne. It feels,
Surely not.
feels horrible saying that. But
I did think Redmayne's accent was fairly consistent.
his accent was good. I thought the performance was really good.
So you liked Eddie Redmayne in a film.
I really liked Eddie Redmayne in it, yeah. I think if anyone deserves an Oscar nomination, it's him.
Okay,
Jesus.
George. You know when we do our clips for the social media?
Yeah.
Just that sentence. Just Sam saying that.
Yeah, no, I thought he
With
was
like
great.
90 like shock emojis. Like, what?
Kettle's like just, he'll be fuming with us. So
Yeah, he was my favorite thing about it. As I said, though, Cohen is like the most publicized one, and he gets there is no like a few good men moment really with Nicholson. Like we thought we were going to get that with Keaton.
Yeah, there's a couple of moments where it feels like the film is ramping up, like, right, this is the moment, and then it just gets battered away.
Yeah, because
Which I kind of like.
we watched it together, right? And
Yeah.
there was that scene where they go and visit Michael Keaton, and it's Michael Keaton.
Yes.
So it's like it's stunt casting, isn't it? And like, okay, he's going to get the Jack Nicholson final, vindicating speech. And he just doesn't. And I like that. Like you said, Jordan, the film was blue balling us. Like, you're not going to get that.
Yeah,
and then
exactly. And I wonder if he knew that, because obviously Aaron Sorkin wrote A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
And this is a courtroom film. And I'm pretty sure if you're familiar with A Few Good Men and you were going into this, you were expecting the big Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
You were expecting like another one of those, and you never get it. And I wonder if that was an intentional decision on Sorkin's part.
I think definitely intentionally a dramatic intention, yeah. Because I mean the fact is it's a real thing, and real life doesn't quite have as cathartic a narrative, a structure as as a film.
Even though it does have its sort of hokey ending.
It does. It does have that kind of uplift, but there is no grandstanding.
No.
But yes, even though Cohen gets that moment, I think it is Redmayne's film, basically.
Okay.
I don't think this is a nitpick really, but I don't know that it's necessarily a result of racism that Seal was bound and gagged. That's going to be a controversial point to make.
Okay.
Because maybe it's come out that judge was unambiguously a racist. I'm not disputing that, but I feel like it's an instance of anachronistic foreknowledge, right? Like the film presents no suggestion that he is racist, just incompetent. We are just asked to trust Mark Rylance and Ben Schenkman.
Yes.
Because that scene where they called up to his, the thing, and he says to them, no one in my life has ever accused me of being racist.
Yeah.
And he says, I am. And then the other guy says, consider this the second. I was like, I'm just supposed to take your word for that because I like you, because I like your characters.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I mean, like... Yeah, I suppose the only way to be able to test that is to know whether the judge would have done the same thing to literally anybody else that's on trial. Because at this point, Bobby Seale, he's been held in contempt like many, many times.
Yeah.
He's been given multiple warnings by the judge. He is constantly interrupting the trial. I'm not saying the judge was justified.
No.
In any way. But I think the point that I'm making is that the judge has handed down all of these punishments to him, and they've just not taken. So in the judge's mind, it's probably like, right, what the hell else can I do?
Yeah.
Literally just gag him.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the film didn't convince me that he was a racist. And maybe because it's not on public record, it's just, there's like an inference of racism. But,
yeah. Well, sorry, I was just going to say, because there is stuff about him.
Yeah, like maybe he is. Like I'm just going off the film here, like what the film was supposed to convince me of.
Yeah, so in terms of what is written... he was viewed quite unfavorably, certainly as time went on.
Right,
like
the judge now.
Yeah, most people responded negatively when asked if they thought he could be impartial.
Yeah, that's clear. He's clearly not impartial.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got the note up now. In 1982, he was ordered not to be assigned any new cases because of his attitude and how he was behaving.
Okay.
But he carried on presiding over the ones he already had down until he died.
No, he was a terrible partisan judge, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But as far as the film goes, even if the other guys on trial had been as, had interrupted as much as Seal did, but they don't. The film very clearly shows that he's always interrupting the trial.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he gets bound and gagged, which again has kind of a racial connotation to it. So you don't do that, whatever the situation anyway. But I just took it to be an instance of cruel and unusual punishment rather than a blatant inaction of racism.
Yes.
But I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying the film didn't convince me.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is really just a nitpick.
Yeah. I didn't get much from Gordon Levitt, as I thought he's just there.
He's the straight guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Really. If this film, I think we talked about it before we saw it, and I wasn't sure about it, but if it doesn't win the SAG Ensemble Award, that'll be a travesty.
What's its competition?
I don't know. I've no idea.
Do Five Bloods?
Maybe. I don't think we've seen a lot of them yet.
Yeah. Because I feel like at the moment, Nomadland is still the favourite for getting any sort of wins for anything, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes the ensemble will be 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to tell, but it's such an ensemble. It reminded me of Spotlight in that way. It's such an ensemble film.
Yes.
It deserves that award because everyone in it is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said before that Mark Rylance was my favourite thing about it. I think that what I was so taken by is that, and it might just sort of be a reflection of his time as a theatre actor.
Oh yeah.
But it didn't feel like he was acting. It didn't feel like he was putting on right, my character has these traits, whether it's he has a bit of a limp, or he puts his hands in his pocket, or he has his lips are slightly curled. There was nothing like that. He was just being a guy.
Yeah.
And yet he was so specific.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like he was just being Mark Rylance. He felt like he was being a specific guy. Yet there's no one thing I could point to about his performance and say, oh, that's what made him so unique or so idiosyncratic.
I know what you mean. The wig is a bit
The wig's a bit out there, but that was probably just to make him look a bit more like the actual guy, wasn't it?
Which
is fair enough.
It's definitely, I think we watched it, and 5 minutes in I said to you, Jord, you can tell he's a theatre actor.
Yes.
He's in his element.
I will say he does have hair, so the fact that he's got a wig
is a bit strange.
Does he have that hair though?
Not necessarily, but he did. There were a while ago he had long hair.
It could have been fashioned into it, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean, the film is quite wiggy. I was worried about that it'd be too wiggy. It's not really.
No.
Before Mark Rylance ventured into film, and all I knew about him was that he was considered pretty much the best living stage actor in the world.
Yes.
And I'd never seen him he really is a theatre guy, because I'd never seen anything, And then he was in Bridge of Spies and a bunch of other things. And given that was my only exposure to him, I never got it. It's really? This guy? He's considered one of the best actors in the world? He never wowed me in film, but seeing him in a film that's a bit more theatrical, I do
say,
understand it.
If I know you're not a massive person for going to see the theatre, but if the version of Jerusalem, which he's meant to be reprising the role in, does come back to London, I would love to take you to see it, because that is one of the best performances in terms of theatre that he's done.
I have seen a few clips of him in that, and it is outstanding.
Yeah,
remarkably good.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying again. I just all I had was him in film, and he never really did. Every character he's played has been buttoned down and doing very little.
Yeah, it's weird choicing for film. Really,
I suppose it's him doing I can do that in film, and so I'm going to pursue projects where I get to not be extravagant. Do you know what I mean? So it makes sense. Going from Jerusalem and the Shakespearean stuff to Bridge of Spies, which is the most muted, buttoned down character, makes sense as an actor's choice. But seeing him in this is because Sorkin, as he said in the interview, I write theatre, I just disguise it as a movie.
Yes,
I give you enough visual stuff to trick you thinking you're watching a film, but all I've ever written are plays.
Yes,
but he's good at it. He's very good at it.
He's very, very good at it. There is, however, one small... I think it's a mistake. If it's not a mistake, I don't understand why this happened. But I think you noticed it as well, Sam, when we were watching it.
Yeah.
There's a moment where the judge is listing off the characters' names, and it's cutting to the character... Well, it's cutting to the character. So it's like, John Carroll Lynch's character, and it shows John Carroll Lynch. It's like, Sacha Baron Cohen's character, and it shows Sacha Baron Cohen. And then he says Bobby Seale, which is obviously played by... What was his name, sorry?
Yahya Abdul-Mateen II.
Played by him.
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't remember his name. That's
We're
why
going to call him Yam 2 from now on.
Yam 2, okay.
Yam 2.
So, yeah, he says Yam 2's character's name, and it cuts to Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, that is strange.
That's probably an error.
It must be an error, because I don't know. Having now seen the rest of the film, I don't know what that would have implied. Because him and Eddie Redmayne don't really have a relationship in the film.
No. I'd have to rewatch it. There were a few things early on that made me think, because it is only his second time directing, and he hasn't quite got there yet. But I mean, not to the film's detriment. I was surprised, because he wrote it, I was really worried that it was going to be incredibly indulgent.
Yes.
And like just not that well put together. It's certainly not Fincher directed. It's not showy in any way, the directing. It's just filming the film. But I thought that worked for it. And it was very well behaved, and it got its story told really quickly.
Yes, I think I saw something saying that this is an older script of his.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, because Steven Spielberg was supposed to originally direct this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any of the compliments that we've levied at this film still apply to Aaron Sorkin, because this is a script that he wrote years ago, so this is more a reflection of him back when he wrote it as opposed to the Aaron Sorkin we have now. Basically, what I mean is, like, I don't know if the film was written today, whether it would be more politically charged or whether it would be more left-leaning. I genuinely don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to assume that he rewrote. So
yeah,
I think you can still say it's a function of him now, especially when he was going to direct it. I'm sure he rewrote it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd be interested to know how much was cut. If barely nothing was cut, that makes it even more impressive. That they really only filmed what they thought they needed.
Yeah, definitely.
The highlight for me, if there was a Few Good Men moment, it was the discovery that Hayden incited the riot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I loved that build-up of,
Because that's just on the heels of the moment where he has a go at Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
He's like, you are everything that's wrong with left-leaning politics.
Yeah.
And then the very next moment is Mark Rylance walking in going, you, Eddie Redmayne, this is all your fucking fault.
Yeah, no, it was great. And just the way it was cutting between Rylance, like, acting as the prosecuting attorney and seeing the actual event. It was...
That felt almost Social Network-y, didn't it?
It did, yeah, like jumping all over the place.
Yeah, where you had, 4 or 5 scenes running simultaneously, and it was sort of cutting between the two of them, or all of them,
Yeah, that was fab.
Yes.
The ending is a bit hokey. It's a bit Dead Poet Society. With like the angry judge trying to control the chaos, like, get down off that table, boy. It was a bit corny, and I'd be interested to know how much dramatic license was taken in regards to who stood and who left. I forgive it either way. Like, it is corny, but the film generated enough goodwill that I didn't mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be interested to know if Gordon Levitt's character stood up and did that, and everyone else left. Because
I believe that he would have. I mean, he protested from the very beginning, didn't he?
He was with them, basically, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was with them from the start. It just so happened that he'd been put on the wrong side of the of the pulpit or whatever it is.
He was just doing his job. I mean, he and Redmayne are like the more interesting characters, really. Cohen is the showy one, and he's going to get the awards buzz, I'm sure.
Yes.
But it really doesn't deserve it, I don't think, because his performance is quite not monumental, but kind of he's playing almost an idea rather than a character. Do you know what I mean?
I kind of get it.
Because Abby Hoffman is iconic, that guy.
Yeah.
He is the icon of the counterculture movement.
Yeah.
And so he's just embodying the ideology of that and being quite sarcastic in that Sorkin way. And,
yes.
He doesn't go anywhere in the film. Whereas Gordon Levitt, that is an interesting thing about... I fundamentally oppose that they're even on trial, but my job is to prosecute them, and I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability.
Yeah, in a way, I kind of wish we'd seen more of him.
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting premise for a character, that, like, I fundamentally disagree with everything that I'm doing, but I have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Like, I think he gets enough. He has his little redemption at the end when he stands while
Yeah.
The hokey ending is happening, and whenever something too controversial is happening, you can see him looking visibly uncomfortable. So I don't feel like there's ever a moment where it's like, oh, that character's too far gone, or he's just like, oh, I'm just the bad guy now, so I'm going to embrace that.
Yeah.
No, he was he's the one character. I mean, I was a little not annoyed, but the fact that it's called The Trial of the Chicago 7, and it only ever really focuses on 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like 2 of them, I don't even know their names. Like they were barely in the film.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if like we spent a bit of time with all of them. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt was one character I wish we'd spent more time with, definitively.
I feel like had it been the Spielberg film, it would have been another Lincoln, and you would have spent time with all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's kind of explained in film, isn't it? Like, you're only on trial so that when they waive the charges, it'll make them look fair.
Yes.
So I kind of understood why they were minimized. Like, they had to pick who it really shone the spotlight on, but... Yeah, that end. Did you ever get like the sharp intake of breath, almost welling up thing? Like, yeah. Do you ever get that in the film?
A little bit.
I kind of got it when he's reading off the names of all the all the people who died.
It's the Hacksaw Ridge thing.
Well, the music is doing the job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's all I've got to say about the trial of the
that's fair.
Chicago 7.
Yeah, I think this is one that we definitely recommend.
Yeah,
100%.
Do you think a lot of people? Because again, it's on Netflix, so there's a chance that we might be past the phase where it's on the front page of Netflix and everyone's just watching it because it's there.
Yeah.
But do you think it's a film that most people would like?
I feel like I read a thing recently where it said it was doing disproportionately well for a film of its type.
Okay.
Like loads and loads of people were watching it.
Yeah.
Good. You know.
Yeah. And I hope it's for the right reasons. I hope it isn't
Yes.
just because, oh, Netflix, film, go.
And indeed, I hope this really like gives a kick into the Republicans. Because it doesn't really.
No,
not
It doesn't
really.
Yeah. Watch it.
Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Okay. If we're going like if we're discounting Parasite and The Lighthouse from this year, it's probably my favorite film of the year thus far.
fair.
I mean, it doesn't have much competition.
No, to
But
be fair.
yes,
Yeah.
I think it might be at the top.
Yeah.
We'll see. We haven't got long to go now. A couple of months left.
Yep. All right. Should we get on to the final item then?
The main event.
The main event,
The
which
actual Halloweeny part.
I feel like
of
we're
our
probably going to
house.
end up wrapping up in like 20 minutes time.
Yeah, we haven't got very long before my mother gets home. So
So the haunting anthology
Yes.
series.
Are we going to talk a little bit about Hill House before we move on to Bly Manor?
yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't rewatch it. But I've watched it about 3 or 4 times in its entirety. So I feel like I've got
Right. Okay.
a good sense of it.
Eddie,
Yeah.
I had a go at you a couple of podcasts ago, well, a few podcasts ago now, because you hadn't watched Hill House.
Yep.
Have you now watched Hill House?
I've watched Hill House.
What do you think of Hill House?
Yeah, it's alright. No, it is very good. It is very good. I mean, I had no idea really what I was sitting down to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what it, like, I'd heard of it. I knew that, like, it's from a novel from ages ago and that plenty of, like, adaptations of it have been done. But no, yes, very good. I liked the cast. I thought there was some very good performances from it.
Were the cast basically unknowns prior to filming Hill House, or had they all kind of done stuff before?
Mikhail Huisman was in Game of Thrones, wasn't he?
Yeah, he Dario Naharis.
Yeah, but like a relatively minor character.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Timothy Hutton is known. The dad. He's an Oscar winner. But everybody else, basically unknown. Yeah.
Okay, because I think that definitely added to it. The fact that you didn't know a lot of these. And the thing that I noticed as well watching Bly Manor is that I was sort of calling them by their Hill House name.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into it when we get to Bly Manor. But yeah, like the Hill House characters have sort of become them now
Well,
to me.
I'll tell you how we'll do it, right? We've mentioned it before on the podcast. We've never like reviewed it. I'm a massive fan of it. But I'll go by like your review of it, if you know what I mean, Eddie.
Yeah.
I'll kind of jump off your thing of it. Because Victoria Pedretti, I think it was her first thing.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I was to say Kate Siegel is married to Mike Flanagan.
Yes,
so.
yeah. And such was my experience of it, that she's Nell in everything I watch now.
Yes.
She will be Nell forever to me.
Yeah. Whenever something bad happened to her in Bly Manor, I was like, oh, leave Nell alone.
Yeah.
She's been through enough.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm thinking of like because she goes through obviously a real shit time in Hill House.
Yes.
And then it doesn't get better for her in Blyana.
Oh, this is a question. Are we spoiling?
I think we can spoil Hill House, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we?
Well, yeah. I mean,
it's been
a couple
out
of years
for-
old.
I mean, it makes it easier to talk about, but if there is, if there is somebody listening to this who hasn't yet watched Hill House, I kind of don't want to spoil it for them.
Okay,
You know?
do we need to talk about the ending of Hill House?
Not the ending.
I don't think we have to, do we?
No.
No.
There was one thing I was going to ask about it, which does spoil one part of it,
Okay.
which is about Nell,
Okay.
which is how the fuck is she her own ghost?
I think, well, I mean, if there's a spoiler, that's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
why. That's why I
she,
said.
she just is the answer. Do you know what I mean?
It's
Like-
is it the same of the Midnight in Paris of they went back to 20s because they just did?
Yes, I don't think there's a rhyme or reason to it. Like, the ghost lore of her is that.
Yeah.
In the same way, so one of the things I like about both series is how they both use the idea of ghosts in different ways to mean different things.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
never just one thing, that it's a memory or...
I kind of like that the existence of ghosts in Bly Manor is almost, it's sort of an inverse of the existence of ghosts in Hill House.
Right.
Because to sort of give away a little bit of a giveaway as to the ending of Hill House, that series ends positively.
Yeah.
Like the fact that ghosts exists initially, that's a very hostile. The ghosts seem very hostile. And it seems like a bad thing that ghosts are here, and the ghosts are sort of the villains of the show. But by the end of Hill House, it sort of becomes clear that no, actually, the fact that there are ghosts in this house, that's actually a nice thing.
Yes.
Whereas in Bly Manor, it's sort of the opposite. Like, it's like the ghosts, it's not a good thing that these ghosts are in Bly Manor, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
not a
fair
good
enough.
reason that they're all still ghosts. So sort of, I like that he kind of flipped it in that regard. It wasn't just kind of a rehash of Hill House. He was sort of
Yeah.
coming at it from a different angle.
We should sort of clarify what it is, I suppose. If you don't know anything about it, it's a self-contained anthology series. The Haunting of Hill House is just its own mini-series. And then he's utilised a lot of the cast and then adapted another book, an entirely different story with zero connection narratively to Hill House.
yeah.
like
they
American
share
Horror
themes.
Story, basically.
Yes, except there is, well, with American Horror Story now, there is a universe, isn't there? But,
Yes.
Yeah. But
So,
prior
yeah.
to series 3 of American Horror Story, there wasn't. They
Yeah.
were just genuinely different stories.
just distinct entities, yeah.
They also reuse a lot of Hill House music in Bly Manor.
They do, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Nell's theme is reprised a few times in Bly Manor. I don't know about you. I didn't like that.
I didn't like that. No, it's I get why they've done it. Like, there's got to be a through line beyond the cast, I suppose.
I don't know. I feel like the name, like The Haunting, that is going to be the name of the anthology series going forward. It's going to be The Haunting of blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah,
And the fact that they're reusing actors as well. But I don't know, like reusing music as well,
yeah, no,
that feels like a step too far. It feels like, whenever you're talking about the two, you're always going to be comparing Bly Manor to Hill House.
yeah,
I think those are completely fair comparisons to make. Using the music as well feels almost like it's inviting those comparisons. It feels like they're like, we're bringing as much of Hill House into this as we can feasibly manage. And I don't like that. It should be its own thing, you know?
yeah. You're cementing a continuity that if I don't like Bly Manor, it's harder to ignore.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I do. Let's talk about Hill House first, Eddie.
Okay.
What was your general opinion of Hill House?
You can't
Genuinely,
say
like
you can't say it's alright. You got to give an opinion.
genuinely, like the fact that it's taken me so long to get round to it. It is bad, like, because I really enjoyed, and like, because I really enjoyed watching Bly Manor as well. But yeah, I really did enjoy like watching it, and it's quite nice because it's not the biggest name cast in the world.
Yeah,
That's quite nice because it is a very, very well done series where you're not sat there going, you're this from this and this.
Yeah,
from
You're
this."
not distracted by the actors.
yeah. You're taking no baggage with you into it, and that means they get to create those roles for you. Like I said, the only danger, like if you're casting a next James Bond or Doctor, I've always said you've got to go with someone who nobody knows.
Yeah.
So they can make because after that they're always going to be the Doctor and James Bond, whatever film they do.
Yeah.
And so the beauty of that is they get to make it their own, which is the case with Hill House. Is I'd never seen those people before, so that is Nell to me, and that is Luke to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the only one I had seen is the guy who played Darian Harris.
Yes, I'd seen Timothy Hutton in a few things, but he certainly made the role his own.
But yeah, I mean, there was a moment where Kate Siegel, like, it's you'll see she's is lesbian the right word? Is she? I was trying to decide if she was a lesbian or a bisexual before I committed.
I think
to that.
she's lesbian, isn't she?
Yeah.
Oh no, she does kiss the husband.
Yeah, but her reasons for that are sort of beyond sexual satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But
that's what I just didn't know the right clarification for it. But
I'm gonna say lesbian, especially since there are lesbians in Bly Manor as well.
No, I will add though, the only reason I would be a bit thing about just saying lesbian is Kate Siegel is bisexual.
Yeah, she is.
Right. Okay.
So I don't know whether they would have been like, oh, her character also is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there was a moment where once I realised that she was married to Mike Hannigan. Is it Hannigan? Flanagan.
Flanagan.
Yeah.
Flanagan. I'm just thinking of the guy from Friends. Mike Flanagan.
Yes,
married to Mike Flanagan. I did sit there and think, how much did he sit around high-fiving himself when he realised he was going to watch his wife kiss another woman on screen?
Well, I suppose it depends, doesn't it? If she's bisexual,
Yeah.
Possibly very anxious.
Like, oh God, she might, she might fall in love with this stunning Asian woman she's going to be making out with.
Who is, credit, very attractive as well.
Yes.
If you go for that.
Not your thing?
Oh, Sam and his...
No, I don't. I've said before, I'm generally not attracted to Asian women, no matter how attractive they are.
Fair.
Okay. With rare exceptions.
Yeah.
Parasite Girl being...
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
You can't like Parasite Girl.
Why?
That's like saying, again, it's going back to the Godfather thing. That's like saying, oh, Godfather's my favourite film of all time. So?
Yeah, but the point being that that's a kind of boring answer because the Godfather is so demonstrably good.
Yes.
So there's no point saying you can't be attracted to her because she's so attractive. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you probably didn't quite work that with that, Jord, to be honest.
Eddie, I don't want him to take her from me, okay? You gotta work with me on this.
I mean...
I tell you this, Jord, if she ever enters our lives in any way, I will completely step back and let you do your thing.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay,
that was the chivalrous thing to do.
For that scenario alone, I might DM her on Twitter and see if we can get her on the podcast. But yes, no, very good. I thought it was very well acted. I thought it was, generally speaking, fairly well written as an adaptation.
Yeah.
Say, I don't know the source material well enough, but
I thought
it came across well.
Sorry, I think it's totally unfaithful to the source material.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It uses character names and some of the ideas, but tells a totally unique story.
Fair.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think, for example, in the initial story, they're not a family. None of them are related.
Oh, okay. Because, I mean, obviously with Bly Manor, they make the point of saying it's loosely based off about 7 different things.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
I mean, like, the family in Hill House really reminded me of 6 Feet Under, where it's like, it's about a family and you like the family.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of. You've got the funeral home comparison.
Yeah,
as
there's
well.
that too.
There's a funeral home in both of them. Yeah,
but it reminds good because I think a lot of shows about families are either sitcoms or kind of soapy dramas.
Yeah,
and that's what I like about this. It's not. It really feels like they're a family.
It's sort of a family drama first, really, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the horror, it's especially in Bly Manor. Like, Bly Manor, I don't know if it was sold as, oh, this is scary. Like, this is a horror show and it's scary. Because I feel like if it was, then that was completely the wrong angle to take. Bly Manor is not scary.
No.
And Hill House, there are jumpy moments, and there are moments where the show clearly goes, all right, something spooky's going to happen now. Get ready for the spooky.
Yeah.
Bly Manor didn't really have any of it. Bly Manor was just sad.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how you felt about Bly Manor. I was just really sad watching it.
Yes, it does have more of that ghost storiness to it. Of it's more tragedy than it is a horror.
Yeah,
like a ghost story, like the film.
Yeah,
exactly. And I don't know whether that's an indication of the direction he's going to be going forward. Like, I don't know if we're going to get to like the 4th or 5th The Haunting series, and there's basically going to be no horror in it. It's just going to be like family drama, because that's what has been the sort of focus of both Hill House and Bly Manor.
I think it's that thing that we've talked about of a second season needing to capitalize on what made the first so good.
Yeah.
And I guess he looked at it and thought what people really liked about Hill House wasn't necessarily the horror, it was the feels.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
And so I'll really double down on that, which he does.
I can see that, especially since the returning characters from Hill House, apart from maybe the mother, they were all the breakout characters from Hill House.
Yeah.
Like Nell, Luke, Theo, and the father, the younger father. They were all the breakout characters of the first season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was nice. It was nice to see Nell have a more prominent role, because even though she's incredibly important to Hill House, she herself is not really a presence in the story.
It's analogous to American Horror Story in that way, where Jessica Lange is a supporting actress in the first season, but like clearly was the best thing about it, so became the lead.
Yeah,
I mean, in
yes.
my opinion, Victoria Pedretti is the best thing about Hill House.
Yeah.
Fair.
Followed closely by Timothy Hutton, the older father. I think he just really like, you believe he's carrying all this stuff with him, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Hill House is a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned.
I did really like Oliver Jackson Cohen as well, and
He's really good. Yeah, like you believe they're brother and sister. Again, you just believe these people.
It's not even just like you believe in the brother and sister. He plays a drug addict fairly well.
He does.
Yeah.
And then in the second series as well, he plays a cocky asshole very
Yeah,
well.
Scottish
Really well.
as well. Like,
Yeah.
because they all put on accents, apart from maybe Victoria Pedretti. They all put on accents.
Yeah.
In series 2, some of them aren't great. The mother, who is telling the story,
No.
her accent is awful.
That's bad. Henry Thomas's accent is pretty bad.
Yeah,
It's not terrible, but
it's too much.
it's full.
Yeah.
It's too much.
It's definitely too
The
much.
show. I guess we'll talk about both seasons at the same time, really. Then.
I think it's unavoidable.
Yes.
Really.
Yeah.
The second Bly Manor.
The thing with Bly Manor is that gets me is the introduction of the kids. No kid speaks like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Peppa Pig girl. She must. The only way I would accept that is if she's actually like that in real life, because she is just way too much. You know.
But that's sort of the point, isn't it?
I guess.
Kind of heightened, and they're supposed to be spooky kids, aren't they?
Yeah, but there's
She's not
spooky
spooky,
kids and
though.
there's
She's-
talking posh
No, I-
ridiculously.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Like Bly Manor was a letdown for me. Like generally, I didn't like it nearly as much as I liked Hill House.
I wouldn't call it a letdown. I
No.
wish I'd been more prepared going in. I wish I'd been more prepared for the fact that this is sadder than Hill House.
Right.
Like, there's not like the bent neck lady in Hill House. For me, that's kind of like a perfect horror concept. Mm-hmm. Because like horror, a lot of people will say, "Oh, horror is fear of the unknown."
Yeah.
That's what's so scary about horror. As you learn more about a thing, it becomes less scary. The Weeping Angels is a perfect example. They're brilliant in Blink, but the more episodes we had with them and the more of them we saw, they were kind of crap. But the bent neck lady, she becomes scarier the more you learn about her.
Yeah.
Like, she's a scary image at first, but then when you learn about like who the bent neck lady is and what's happening to her, that becomes like viscerally terrifying.
Well,
to me.
it becomes the word I'd use is horrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like the big twist. We sort of talked about it already. The big twist is that Nell is her own ghost, and
Yes.
as she is realizing that, it functions less as a plot twist where you're going, "Oh my god, it's her," and more as like, "Oh Jesus," because her response to it is so viscerally horrible.
Yeah,
It's
like
the fact
this.
because you get to see her whenever she's seen the bent neck lady, like just seeing it from the dead side, basically.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
like
and I
sobbing.
think that's one of the things.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's so effective about it is because when Nell is alive and she's seeing the bent neck lady, she's obviously terrified of it.
Yeah.
But when Nell is dead and she is the bent neck lady and she's seeing her living self, she's scared all over again.
It's traumatized. It's much worse for the bent neck lady than it is for little.
Yeah, and that's what's so brilliant about it. It's
Yeah.
such a brilliant, like it's such a terrifying idea.
Yeah.
And it's definitely one of, if not the best things about Hill House. I mean, the bent neck lady episode where it's her identity is revealed,
Yeah.
and the episode that follows it, which is Nell's funeral,
Two
are two of
Storms.
the best episodes of television
Hands
in recent
down.
memory.
Yes.
Yeah, Two Storms,
sure.
especially for me, I think, is one of the
Yeah.
best things I've ever seen on television.
Yeah. And there is nothing in Bly Manor which comes anywhere close to that.
No, and maybe I talked about this on the fun off. I think we shouldn't have gone in expecting it to.
No,
I didn't
That's
fully
fine.
I didn't think it was going to be as good, but I was expecting some magic in the same manner as Two Storms.
I mean, the first couple of episodes where I suppose the main ghost is Edmund, her boyfriend or her fiance that gets killed, and so whenever she sees him, he's always in the mirror and his glasses are always lit up.
Yeah.
That's sort of the ghost of the first few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh god, if that's our bent neck lady, this is going to be a shit season.
Yes. It's not bad at all. Like, don't get me wrong. Bly Manor it's got quite a lot going for it in a way.
No, and it's sort of like after episode, again, it's sort of around episode 5, the series really kicks into, like, it's sort of revealed what's really going on here.
I mean, I think my favourite episode of Bly Manor is Hannah's episode.
It's either Hannah's episode or the penultimate episode where we see Theo again.
Yeah. I think Hannah's episode was their Two Storms attempt.
Yes. Oh, 100% it is.
Yeah.
It felt a bit like, maybe it's just because of the spoiler. Are we spoiling it?
Yeah, go on.
Maybe it's because of the time hopping element, but it sort of reminded me a bit of The Constant from Lost, where it's
Absolutely.
sort of like, this is the definitive like episode of the show.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I'll say actually, so Bly Manor, it had one jump in it for me.
Okay.
And that jump, it's one of the biggest jumps I've ever had.
Right.
And it's not even like an obvious moment. It's the moment where, what's the name of the guy?
Owen.
When Owen is talking to Hannah and like trying to ground her.
Yeah.
By having that conversation about like, when are you? You know, who are you? And then because like time is all blurring together and people are becoming different people and all that, when he just suddenly looks into camera and goes, Will, or whatever the name is.
Miles.
Miles, sorry, yeah. Miles.
Yeah.
I jumped so hard because it's just like it's such an intimate scene of the two characters like talking really quietly to each other.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he just looks at you.
Yeah. And starts shouting at you.
It so broke the fourth wall that like I just it was so bad. It almost leaped out my throat.
The one thing I did like about Bly Manor is the dad from Hill House, the young dad from Hill House.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Henry Thomas.
Thomas.
Elliot.
The fact that his ghost was himself, the real him.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked that.
For me, was like a perfect embodiment of the phrase, there's a thin line between horror and comedy. Because whenever I saw the ghost of Henry Thomas standing next to the real Henry Thomas, grinning maniacally, I just found that funny. I don't know if that's just me, but
I didn't find it funny.
I found it goofy.
It didn't have the effect on me that it wanted to, certainly.
No.
See, that thing, even in execution, is not great. That was when I realised how much I liked what the series was doing with ghosts. With him, it was guilt, and
yes,
it was utilising all these different ghosts for all these different reasons. I mean, like in that Two Storms episode, the basic resolution. So Two Storms is this. I think it's the 6th episode, right?
Yes, it is.
Of Hill House. And it plays out ostensibly as one shot. It does, doesn't it? Ostensibly as one.
It's 5 long takes.
But cut together to look like one, right?
No, it's genuinely 5 long takes.
When do they cut?
There's a couple of moments. Like, for example, I think the end of the first long take is when he walks into Hill House and the chandelier falls from the ceiling. There's a cut after the chandelier falls, but they are genuine long takes. They're not like stitched together.
I know there are cuts, but what I'm saying is it's meant to look like one, right? Or the cuts visible?
No, the cuts are visible.
Are they?
Yeah.
I thought it was just like the start and the ending of the episode that they broke that, but okay.
But no, like unlike a lot of long takes where it's like, it's stitched together to look like no. These are genuine long takes.
Genuine, and down to the fact that you can see sometimes the actors not making mistakes, but saying things in a way that usually you wouldn't find in a TV show.
Yeah.
Because they are making little mistakes and repeating themselves, and makes it feel very real.
Yeah.
But like the emotional thing, so it's all the family gathered in the funeral home, and kind of going between that and one night in Hill House where there was like it was a storm, and all the characters like huddling together and trying to work out what's going on. And the basic emotional resolution of that episode is that Nell was always there. Nobody just really paid her any notice,
Yes.
And that's what the ghost was in that context. It's a thing that's always there.
Yeah, because that's another thing about Two Storms, is that the bent neck lady, which we now know to be Nell, is often in the background of shots.
Yeah.
And she's never focused on.
Yeah.
Like if you rewatch the episode, you'll see like she's always kind of in the background.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, when that resolution happens, when Nell says, I was here, you just never saw me.
Yeah.
Everybody's walking out of the funeral home and Nell is standing next to her own coffin and nobody notices her. And it's genuinely like, Oh fuck!
But that's the thing.
This is
It's
horrible.
It's ghosts and it's horror, but the only thing you leave with is heartbreak. I'm just like, that's so sad. Like that whole thing.
Not depressing.
No, not depressing. Because
It's not depressing. It is just sad.
It's sad. Yes, it's sad, but because the show is redemptive, isn't it? I mean, I love the final episode of Hill House.
Yes,
I think it wraps everything up really well. Again, spoiler, the father, sacrificing himself. I loved how the Hill House dealt with the idea of fathers and children, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, him deciding to stay there. And the thing, did you weep at Hill House, Eddie?
I did not weep at Hill House.
Well, you clearly have no heart then.
You've given yourself away, robot.
If you're not weeping at that ending montage where the groundskeeper is carrying his dying wife to Hill House and then sees his family reunited on the stairs and you didn't weep?
No.
There's something missing in you.
I've said to you before, but I will say it on the podcast so it's official record. He looks too much like Dan Harmon, the groundskeeper.
Okay.
In that final scene where they've made him up, they've done him up in old age makeup, and he's delivering his wife to Hill House.
Yeah.
He looks too much like Dan Harmon, and it just
distracts you, does it?
Yeah, it was too distracting.
That for me is one of the highlights of the season. And another thing that I love about Hill House, we probably talked about this a bit on the podcast, is the monologue in the first episode. The lady whose husband died.
Husband who died in the car accident.
Yeah, and she saw him on the ceiling of her bedroom. You see none of that. It's all just the power of dialogue and performance.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize when you watch it that you're watching a monologue.
No.
That's the best thing about it. Sometimes when you're watching a film, it's it's monologue time, But there's none of that. It's she's been talking for quite a while now. And I don't even know who she's speaking to. Yeah, no, that's great. And just the way she makes that come alive of how he looked,
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of monologues of horrific incidents in Hill House that are often just as effective as the horror. I think the first couple of episodes of Hill House, the horror felt a bit too pop horror for me.
Yes.
You could be mistaken for thinking that Hill House is very conventional in its horror just from the first two episodes.
Yes.
I think it's not until episode 3 or 4 where it really starts the horror becomes much better.
Well, I gave up on it.
You did? Yeah. I remember
I watched 2 or so and I just gave up on it. And then people just kept talking about it and its critical reception was staying very high. So I suppose I'll give it a second go. And
I think episode 2 is the worst episode of Hill House.
I agree.
It's genuinely when I rewatched it, it was I'm not enjoying this at all. I just want to get past this,
That's even a great thing about Hill House, even as a mini-series and a through line, is it's a show of episodes, which I really like about it. It's each episode has its own distinct identity,
Well, it's something they sort of carry over into Bly Manor as well, but each episode is sort of focusing on a different character.
Yeah.
So it's the story of Hill House itself. If you actually look at the narrative of what's happening, not much really happens.
No.
Nell dies, they go to her funeral, and then they go to Hill House. That's basically all that happens.
Yeah.
But it's because it's telling the stories, the backstories, and how Nell's death is affecting each individual character. You have Theo's episode, and you have Luke's episode, and that's what sort of fleshes out the story, and that's what makes Hill House so effective. Is that every single character and where they're coming from. Bly Manor does exactly the same. Luke is sort of framed to be the villain of Bly Manor, and then you sort of have his episode, and you kind of get I completely understand where he's coming from, and sort of accept his motivations.
Do you know what? Funnily enough, in that same Aaron Sorkin interview where he was asked, the writers asking him questions, they said, "What are your tips on writing villains?" And he said something that's kind of obvious, but it was the way he phrased it. He said, well, obviously, they can't be a villain to you as the writer. They can never be a villain to you. They can be the villain to the audience, but you can never think of them as a villain.
Yeah.
And then he said, you have to write every character as if they're making their case before God why they should be allowed into heaven. I was like,
okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, because we've been working on a script for a while that has a villain in it, a villain.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what if I took that approach? What would he say? What justified his actions?
Yeah, he wouldn't get into heaven.
No,
Really.
he would, as it stands. But that made me think about, well, okay, what would his motivation be if he had to say why he did
Yes.
what he did, you know?
Yeah.
And it made me think of like, oh, it would be his childhood. Like, all this stuff happened to me. Like, if you were brought up that way, that's how you would behave. You know, all these things. Hill House is brilliant at doing that. Contextualizing villainy, I suppose.
Yes, definitely. I do have one question about I know this is sort of jumping from like broader strokes into minutia.
Yeah.
I do have one question about, I think it's the 8th episode. Yeah, it's the 8th episode of Bly Manor. It's the flashback episode where it sort of explains the origins of the ghosts in Bly Manor, basically.
Yeah.
After Theo has died and her sister is sort of taken over as the woman of the house, there's a moment where she's kind of walking down the stairs, and in the background, out of focus, Theo's portrait is clearly fucked up in some way.
Right.
Like, I don't know whether her head has become a skull. You don't see the details, but it looks like it looks not human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously the sister looks back and the portrait is fine. I feel like that's the only moment that doesn't follow the internal logic of the show.
Right.
I don't know if you felt that. I don't know if that stood out to you, but I feel like when the ghosts are explained, basically everything makes sense. Like the reason why the ghosts are appearing where they are and what the ghosts are doing, and everything makes sense except that portrait. I don't understand that portrait.
Yeah, it's like outside the law of the...
Yeah.
I know what you mean, yeah. I don't know.
I think it's the only moment that happens as well, where a thing happens and it doesn't make sense.
I don't think I really noticed it. I mean, my relationship with the show has been, like Eddie asked, how is she her own ghost? It's like, it's conceptual. You know what I mean? Like, there is no physical... They don't follow a physical law in that way of...
Yeah. I do have a similar question, actually, about Bly Manor. I'll try and be vague about it. But why does... At the beginning of the final episode, why does Theo accept Nell's deal?
I'm trying to remember. I watched this a while ago now.
Okay. Well, Theo is in the lake.
Yes.
About to do what she's about to do.
Yes.
And then Nell comes along and offers her a deal, shall we say.
Yes.
And Theo accepts it.
Right.
Why?
Is it... I assumed it wasn't within Theo's control. I thought if you were saying that...
Oh, yeah.
Well, at this point, Theo is basically a creature of instinct.
So I feel like Eddie's right. I feel like it's that sentence. It's like a spell almost.
Right.
Right? Like you say that and they are bound to do it.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, because the whole point is that it releases the other spirits, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. That's the only point in the show. Like that's a nitpick. What I went about the portrait. Like that was just an unfortunate nitpick that I picked up on. That really wouldn't affect anyone's enjoyment of the show. I don't think.
Yeah.
But that was the one moment where I felt like I don't know if I've missed something, or whether this just doesn't make sense. But I would like to know why she accepted Nell's deal.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll rewatch it at some point because, like I said, I didn't get as much out of it as I wanted to.
Okay.
So maybe I will go back to it. Okay, let's just zero in a little bit on Bly Manor then.
Okay.
The accents, as we've said, not great.
No.
Across the board. They're ropey, but they mostly pass.
Luke's accent is brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
That might be it, actually.
Yeah, the only other two, you got Carla Gugino doing the English accent, which isn't good.
No,
and you've got Henry Thomas doing the RP accent, which is okay.
RP plus slurred drunk.
Yeah, it's just kind of posh, isn't it?
Yeah, it's talking like this throughout the whole of the show.
It's an American doing a British accent.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the thing that wound me up early on, because they had a lot of English actors in this, is Henry Thomas said to... I don't have any problem with Americans playing British people, especially if it's like the same cast. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's that first meeting with him when he says, I think it's the first meeting, it took me 6 years to do the math. It's like, you're an American, you're an Englishman. Why are you saying math?
Oh, yeah.
It would be maths. Like, and that's not just like a Sam nitpick. For a character like that, in that time, he would say maths.
Yes, because they're supposed to be like upper society, like proper, you know?
Yeah, they live in manors.
It would be maths. Yeah.
And I don't know when the show was set in the 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
tell that to everything about the show. I mean, like, it's like the 50s and the 60s, and it's just a weird blend.
I don't know. I felt like Nell's attire was pretty on point.
That was, but everything else, I guess they thought, oh, that's just what Britain is like. It's
all just Downton Abbey-ish.
Yeah,
looking.
like vaguely Downton Abbey, but they've got cars now, and so it didn't really feel like an 80s thing.
In a way, it sort of felt timeless, and I guess that's good.
Yes. Yeah.
That it could literally have been taking place at any time, you know?
When did you guys realise the gardener was Carla Gugino?
Episode 4.
Okay, Eddie?
I got to the point where I can't tell you what episode. I just went, it has to be her, because I'm guessing Nell must meet some kind of different fate.
Okay.
Because because the story didn't seem to be from Nell's point of view.
Well, I think you're supposed to assume that the what was her name again? The mother?
Carla Gugino.
Yeah, I suppose you're supposed to think she has no connection to the story whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously she does.
Yeah.
I think if you know anything about how film and TV works, she's obviously relevant.
Yes.
Well, the thing was that because the guy that's playing Owen is similar enough in the beginning.
Oh, steady on, Eddie.
No, they've done fairly well in terms of aging up a certain role.
Bly Manor ends. It's in the present day, right? Mm-hmm. Which is, 30 years or so after the events of Bly Manor?
Well, modern day, so it would be about
30, 40 years.
30, 40 years.
Okay, so how old is Owen?
What, in the 80s?
He's like in his 30s at least.
I'm not sure.
I think he's meant to be younger than that, but...
because he does not... It looks like a guy that's like his slightly older brother.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like him 30 years in the future.
No, but... you could take the logic that it was meant to be the same person is what I...
Yeah, no, I agree. But I think that was a flaw of the show, is that... That's him older. Okay.
Because that was the thing that I took, was I went, okay, that's meant to be Owen... So, is it meant to be from the point of view of Nell, or Danny, as she'll see? Yeah. Is it from her point of view? And then it just didn't feel like the story was, when you were hearing that voiceover, which is obviously the storytelling, it didn't feel like it was coming from her point of view. So at that point, I was like, it must be a different character. It's female.
Yeah.
The person wasn't black, so it wasn't Hannah.
Yes.
Yes.
You were running out of options after that.
Okay. Because I don't want to sound like, I was like way ahead of the curve. I knew instantly that it was her.
Okay.
And the only reason I knew instantly was because I think, if they're going to get an American actress to do a British accent, it's just going to be posh.
Yeah.
But the fact that she was doing a slightly northern thing, I was like, it's the gardener then. The gardener is her. Like, she's trying to do the gardener's accent.
Oh, yeah. It took me a little bit longer than you, but the accent is the giveaway, I think.
Yeah. It doesn't really spoil it, I don't think, like knowing it's her.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like, for all my problems with it, I thought they did really stick the landing at the very end. Like when she's at the wedding and like people are like, he holds up his glass to her. It's like, oh, I like that. Right. What did I miss? I must have missed it. Where's Miles?
He's with Owen. He's standing next to Owen.
Yeah. He's standing next to Owen, is he? Okay.
Yeah.
Do they make
he
a
hasn't
point?
aged well. He looks like quite a creepy guy.
Okay. Do they make a point of singling him out?
So that you know it's the young boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they flash back to what they looked like when they were younger, Miles, you see it.
Miles and Owen share the frame, and Flora and the father share a frame.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I think I just missed that. I was like, if you were making a big deal about anybody at this wedding, it wouldn't be Owen, it would be Miles,
It would be Miles, yeah. But they share the frame together.
Okay. Greg Sestero is the husband. That was the first big surprise of the series for me.
Explain.
Greg Sestero, who plays the groom in the modern day, is Mark from... hey, Mark.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, okay.
Yeah, he wrote The Disaster Artist.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a big...
Wonderfully underwhelming reaction there, Eddie.
Is that Greg Sestero? So that was... and then we get Garth Marenghi as well.
Whoa, when does he show up?
He's the dad.
Is he?
Yeah, he's their dad.
What, the really old guy?
No, when before their parents pass away and we see flashbacks.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Because, I thought I recognised him.
Yeah, that's Matthew Holness, that's Garth Marenghi.
I thought I recognised the gardener, but she hasn't been in anything I've seen.
No, I didn't recognise her.
So she must just look like someone.
Yes, yeah.
I recognised what's her face, the housekeeper.
Yeah,
Hannah.
you should. Yeah, you should recognise her.
Yeah, she's from Doctor Who. I don't know if you remember her, Sam.
Nah. Which one is she?
It's a very minor appearance. You know when it's in Hellbent when the Doctor goes back to Gallifrey and he shoots the general, the like white bald male general, and he regenerates into her, and she's like, "I'm so glad I'm a woman again. How did you cope with all that ego?"
Right. Okay.
She's that.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting actually that the one character that they've got that was in Doctor Who is haunted by a crack in the wall.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if he knew. I wonder if Mike Flanagan knew what he was doing.
Do you think they asked Matthew Holness to be in it as an allusion to Garth Marenghi?
I'm sure that was not the case.
No, I'm sure it was, because I mean he's not an actor, you know what I mean?
No, but like how
The fact
it's
that,
very
like-
not Garth Marenghi.
No, but the fact that it's horror, you know, that it's British horror, and so like, oh, it'd be interesting to get in the guy.
But Garth
who played
Marenghi is not horror, crucially.
No, well, but it is though, isn't it? It's
It's
meant
a parody
to
of horror. It's not. Yeah, it's not horror.
be. Yeah, but it's intended
Is-
to be that.
I mean, is Garth Marenghi well known enough?
I think there's like it has a cult American following. I've heard quite a lot of people talk about it whenever British comedians are on their podcasts.
Right.
They'll talk about Garth Marenghi and Alan Partridge and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
I think a lot of American comedians are Anglophiles.
I would say
like,
there
in a
is an
comedy sense.
article which is called the haunting of Garth Marenghi's Dark Manor, which is
Okay.
Right.
playing a joke on the idea of once you realise that he's in it, you do also wonder whether they tried to get like Aya Waddy to play the cook or something.
Right. Okay.
No, Hannah, surely.
Well,
I liked the ending where basically the idea was living with an illness. I thought that was really good.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's going to get worse over time, but for today, like you're all right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Really liked that. And finally, my final note. No, that is it. I blue balled you then.
Oh no. I'm gonna have to contrive a final note.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose the villain, if any, of this series. No, I feel like it's unfair to call her a villain because, like, the bent neck lady, I guess, was the villain of Hill House, and by the end, she's not the villain at all. There isn't really a villain, is there?
I suppose if there's a villain, it's the mother, isn't it?
I suppose the mother, yeah.
She functions the villain role in terms of the character who is the most evil. It's that woman, isn't it? The ghost.
Screaming Mimis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
her.
like purely sadistic, doesn't give a shit, you know.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. I suppose the most iconic horror monster. Like of the first series, it was the bent neck lady. Of this series, it's blank face Theo. I don't know what else to call her because she doesn't really have a name.
The Lady of the Lake.
Lady of the Lake.
Lady of the Lake. Okay.
Her and Orange Glasses Man, in terms of iconic.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that was silly to me because that's a very common anime trope.
Is it?
Yeah, like you see it a lot in animes where if there's like a villainous character or an intelligent character who's like plotting something,
Right.
their eyes are completely obscured by their glasses are completely glowing.
Right, okay.
So you can't see their eyes at all.
Right.
So in a lot of like animes, it's sort of like, you know, as the villain's about to like do something, they like push up their glasses and their eyes get covered.
Okay.
So I was just thinking of anime whenever I saw him.
Okay.
Especially at the end of like episode 3 where he like flies back into the house.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're about to sort of like start fighting. So I laughed at
I'm
that.
going to assume that Mike Flanagan, like me, has no idea about that.
No, and I don't know whether he should. I don't know like if there's going to be enough of a crossover of people who know anime,
Probably
and
not.
people who watch this who will be bothered by the fact that
No.
he's a presence.
I mean, I liked the reveal of why he had those
Yeah.
eyes.
yeah, it was well done. And it's interesting that he's kind of set up from the very beginning as like, oh, he's going to be the thing that Nell is going to have to overcome. And then by the end of, I think,
he's
episode...
the James Lafferty of Hill House.
Yeah, and then by the end of kind of episode 4, she confronts him and he's sort of done. We don't even really see the end of that story. We just see her
Yeah.
like confronting him.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
I suppose, is there also that thing of like, it's her becoming comfortable with her sexuality?
I think it's that as well. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. The gardener I saw coming immediately. I was like, oh, she's gay.
Yeah.
I didn't see Nell being gay.
Well,
As a
I'm
thing.
going to
That
say
took me by
at this
surprise.
point, when it comes into whatever the next haunting of series is, we know for sure there's going to be a lesbian partnership.
I was going to say, is that one of the tropes that's carried
will be
over
a trope.
between seasons?
It'll be a lesbian or a gay partnership, shall we say?
Yeah, I think a trope purely out of the fact that you'll want to get a bit of diversity in that sense.
Although I will say, Bly Manor is a very diverse season of television.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of white males, but most of the characters are either like minorities or they're women.
And gay.
And it was nice for a show to do that and not make a big deal of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
No.
The characters, genders, and race, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice. That you didn't have to like put up with all of that. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of like, powerful women are always like crushed by men. But that just feels like a conversation the characters are having rather than a point the show is making.
Right.
But yeah.
Generally, Eddie, you're a fan of both?
Generally speaking, yeah, Hill House is for sure better.
Yeah.
I just hope it doesn't do the American Horror Story thing.
Yeah.
Because I am a big fan, particularly of the first two series of American Horror Story.
Same. I really like the first two.
they're great.
The third is pretty
That
good.
and Coven as well.
Oh
I like
yeah,
Coven
I
as
mean,
well.
if you're going to buy them, you buy the first four of American Horror Story. That's the rule.
Yeah, 4 is good. But 4 was like where it started. It was a step down a little bit.
Yeah, but if you're going to buy, you buy up to 4 and then you leave it.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that if I was going to buy this for argument's sake, obviously it's on Netflix, so there's no need. But
Hill House is out on DVD though. I recommend you buy it because there are extended episodes and director's commentary on a few of them, and they're up there with the better director commentaries I've listened to.
trying not to buy more things, Sam. For fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Trying to cut down on the amount I spend on stuff I can watch online. Although they have they've released a Blu-ray of Marriage Story. It's like 25 quid. I'm 100% going to buy it at some point.
Right.
Okay.
But yes, no. But 100% I would recommend both series. So
Yeah. Hill House is definitely the superior series.
Yeah.
I'd recommend both. Would you recommend watching Bly Manor first so that you're like ending on high with Hill House?
That's not a bad shout. Yeah. Because
Yeah,
really,
I think that might be a better move.
there's really no need to watch them in order.
No.
So
No.
yeah, watch Bly Manor.
that's the thing. Watch Bly Manor. If you like Bly Manor, you will like Hill House.
Oh, you'll love Hill House.
Yeah.
Yes, if you like Bly Manor, yeah, you're going to love Hill House.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure the same applies the other way around.
No.
All right, is that it then for this episode?
Yeah,
I think that's
Yeah, I
I
everything.
think so.
Was it more structured than usual?
No. Not in the fucking
We'll let you
slightest
decide,
point. No, it
audience, I
wasn't.
think.
Okay.
Although, for the 3 people that have stayed until the end, thank you for listening.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll see you again next week.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Bly.